I'm going to call a special meeting to order at 6 p.m. This is a special meeting for Thursday, May 8th, 2025 for budget deliberations. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
I will. Tim Hale.
Here.
Stephanie Nowers.
Here.
Dee McKee.
Here.
Maxwell Sumner.
Present.
Bill Gamble.
Here.
Dimitri Vonoff.
Here.
Ron Bernier.
Present.
Madam Mayor, you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any changes to the agenda? Somebody's got their mic on down there.
I do, sir.
Okay, that's all right. Okay. Seeing and hearing none, the agenda has been approved as presented. And if you all stand, please, and Katie, if you'll lead us in the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on our agenda is audience participation. We do have a sign-up sheet, so we will call on those people first, and then after that, then it'll be open for anybody. So Jeremy Ratliff and Jackson Ratliff.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Ratliff. You need spelling my last name, is that correct? R-A-T as in Tom, L-I-F as in Frank, F as in Frank. This is my son, Jackson.
Hi, I'm Jax Ratliff, R-A-T-L-I-F-F, and I like disc golf and I like to play at Alcantara.
So we're just here tonight to just talk about Alcantara Disc Golf Complex and just requests for funds and just what it means to our family. We have Dexter, another friend of the family here as well.
I really like disc golf also.
So we love playing at Alcantara. Our family got into it a few years ago. We met a lot of nice people out here. It's a great course to play. Does need some work, especially to get us into a more competitive realm. So that's why we're requesting the funds really to step that up. I want these boys to be able to play for years to come and their kids to come play. So that takes improvements, takes, things that are going to last a long time. But it means a lot to the community. It means a lot to, healthy individuals. I'm a pharmacist by trade over at your Wasilla Walmart. So I care about, people doing that. And we did, in my family alone, over 60 miles on the courses last month. So just things to get out there, show the beauty of Alaska, and continue that on at Alcantara. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, boys. Okay, Tom B.
Hello, Tom Voigt, V-O-I-G-H-T. Thank you for your time. Also here for the disc golf proposition here, and that was my son. We love disc golf as well. I've been playing disc golf at Alcantara for almost 10 years now. 10 years ago, there was some traffic, but not a lot, and I've seen it blossom over the last 10 years, and particularly in the last 5 years. Lots of foot traffic out there. It's a great way to get outside. People are taking work events kind of similar to your normal golf. People are now doing disc golf events. I've got the battle wounds from out there from when it gets real muddy and you try and skirt the mud and then you step into a stick and stuff like that. So there are some improvements that these funds would really help kickstart. You can't find a more dedicated community out there. We do as much as we can, but this kind of funding would really expedite and allow us to put stuff in there that's not bandages every season. And additionally, we're even trying to install a second course out there to help facilitate the big foot traffic. The nice thing too is if we can make this, it's already a great complex, but this could really step it up and make it a complex. We can get established. There's a PDGA, the Professional Disc Golf Association. If we become established, we can genuinely host really high competitive tournaments up here. And that actually can have an influx of people traveling in here obviously not to the level of the Olympics, but kind of like our own little Olympics, there could even be an economic influx as we have people travel for a prestigious tournament up into Alaska. So this is kind of funding in the club's hands. We could really do a lot with this, establish a new course. It would just be phenomenal if we could do this. And like the previous guy said here, I hope that I can get my kid started young and get him out on the tour. He really wants to be a professional disc golfer, and this would go a long way towards that. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. So is that Kenny?
I don't know. Lebanon?
Or looks,
Oh, it's an H.
It's
I thought it was an
I'm Rhiannon Fabrello. Last name spelled Fabrello. I'm the secretary of the Disc Golf Association, and I'm here to speak in support of the funding request to improve the disc golf course at Alcantara. I started playing 3 years ago, and honestly, it was pretty intimidating. I didn't know the rules, didn't have the right throws, and definitely didn't see myself as an athlete. But I stuck with it, and now I play almost every day. Disc golf has become a really important part of my life. It's helped me stay active, connect with people, make great friends, and find a healthy outlet, both mentally and physically. Over the past few years, I've spent a lot of hours out on that course, not just playing, but helping maintain it. In the winter, I've shoveled off tee pads. In the summer, I've weed whacked the fairways, and I'm not alone. There's tons of volunteers in the club who care deeply. I've also seen the rapid expansion of the community as well. It's grown fast, and with that growth that has been mentioned has come degradation to the course. The original course is showing signs of heavy use, such as erosion, muddy walkways, and aging baskets. These improvements that we are requesting aren't just nice to have, and they are necessary if we want to preserve the course as a safe, accessible space for everybody. I'm really excited about the new course. I'm probably not going to play it well, but I'll get there. It's an opportunity to build something lasting that matches the energy and growth that we're seeing in this sport. The facilities at Alcantara Sports Complex are a community treasure. They bring together people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities. It's free to play, it's inclusive, and it's something we should be proud to invest in. I respectfully ask that you support this funding request and help us protect, improve something that means so much more, so much to so many. Thank you for your time.
thank you. And then Tom W.? No?
That's Tay Voigt. Oh, sorry, it's Tay Voigt, T-A-E, and then Voigt, V-O-I-G-H-T. I think some of you guys might recognize me from, it might have been a couple of years ago. This is more of just a thank you for funding the last set of baskets. They look fabulous, and we've already seen people out using them and have gotten comments on them, mainly because they catch discs and they don't spin them out as much as the current baskets we have. Again, it's more of just a thank you for what you guys have already dedicated so far, and hope we can continue that.
Okay, that takes care of the people that signed up. Is there anyone else that would like to give some information to the assembly on any subject? Do we have anybody online, sir? No, do not have anybody online. Okay, one last chance. Okay, go ahead and close audience. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. All right. So go ahead, who's ever online, please. Thanks, Caleb and Stephanie.
Is it me?
Yeah, are you
Can you hear
online?
me?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Uh-huh.
This is Corinne Hickey. I'm with the Tenina Community Council. And I'm sure you probably remember we had the Heather Way cleanup that we did. And we were very grateful for the support of the Assembly for that. And Jason Ortiz and his department on making that happen, and with the community cleanup funds. And at the time, you have a part-time employee for the community cleanup, and that person was very instrumental in making that project so successful. And so I'm hoping that the budget would be able to include that position to be a full-time position. I think the Valley actually needs that, and we have a lot of junk and trash problems in the Valley, and having that person on full time, I think, would be really instrumental in helping get the Valley cleaned up of all the junk and trash and projects like we did on Heather Way. So I just wanted to put that out there and hope that the Assembly would put that in the budget for a full time community cleanup person.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else online, Caleb? No? Okay. One last chance for anybody in the chambers. Okay. Seeing and hearing no one, then I will go ahead and close audience participation. Madam Clerk, we are at the budget deliberations, and Madam Clerk's going to read the ordinance into the record.
Ordinance 2525, an ordinance appropriating monies from the central treasury for the borough operating funds, enterprise funds, education operating fund, and capital funds, establishing the rate of levy for all borough functions for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026, and setting the surcharge rate for the wireline and wireless enhanced 911 systems for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Okay, the main motion is on the floor. Is there any discussion? Okay, all right, we have a lot of green pieces of paper here on the table. Somebody's got to start.
I move to amend as follows and make any other conforming changes to the budget. The area-wide fund, non-departmental, transferred 415/425/430, 435, 440, 470, 446.700 by increasing appropriation by the amount of 75,000 and adding the capital project for grant of 75,000 to provide firearms safety training to the residents. This project will decrease the proposed fund balance and will not increase the mill rate.
It's amendment number 5, and it's the single piece of paper.
Okay. Any discussion? Did you want to speak to it, sir?
Yeah, this was
Okay.
an overwhelming success last year. There's a lot of public comment and testimony when people go through this course, how well it went off, and they've asked for it to come back again.
Okay. Further discussion on amendment number 5? Any objection to, yes, go ahead, Assemblyperson Hours, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move to amend this to 50,000 for firearm safety training, just in the interest of budgets. And this is a nice thing to offer, but I think we're going to be facing some tougher fiscal times, and I think being prudent about that. So my amendment is to reduce it to 50,000.
Okay, so the secondary amendment is to reduce the amount from 75 to 50. So discussion at this time, will pertain just to that change. Assemblyperson Sumner.
Yeah, Assemblymember Bernier, do you think 50 would make it? Would do it?
Can we ask staff?
Through the mayor, I think regardless of what amount you put on this, the need will exceed the funding.
Assemblyperson Fauna.
I would push for 75.
Yeah, I think it was just like a junk vehicle. It went, there wasn't anything left and there was a lot more demand there. So yeah, I think that's a good number to stay consistent, so.
Okay, further discussion on Assemblyperson McKee, do you have your?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
And did I read somewhere, I mean, I read somewhere that this was a really popular program. Did you have more people than you could actually accommodate? Do you have like a waiting list and that sort of thing? You know, that was a yes?
Could we have staff come up and,
Well, I think Mike has his mic on. Mike has his mic on.
I mean, I can ask Russ to come, there is a waiting list. Yes, that's correct. And I think regardless of what money you put on it, there can be a waiting list. I mean, if you're looking for that specific number, I can ask Mr. Kraft to come up.
I just think that if you've got a waiting list and it is so popular, it doesn't make sense to me to cut it. So I would be in favor of the original amendment. In other words, not this one.
Okay,
Not this 50,000. I don't support that.
all right. Okay, Assemblyperson Sumner, did you? No, okay, crossed it out.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, when you're giving out something for free, I mean, a lot of times there will always be an excess of demand than the budget, you know? I mean, if you were handing out $100 bills, the waiting list would be pretty long, you know, and 75,000 probably wouldn't cover it. So, I mean, that's kind of flawed logic there that.
Assemblyperson Fauna, go ahead.
Something. The idea, Mr. Sumner, at that time, and we still were facing the shortage of the troopers, even though they're funded, but there was just actual no manpower, and there was a lot of different conversations in the Willow and further areas away from Mr. Benier's, and probably closer as well, with the situation where the long response time, and it wasn't in our control to get the staffing fixed for the troopers, but the basically, instead of just encouraging people to use firearms kind of without the proper training, this was the kind of a recommendation for us to, and that's still going to be a problem for the further away people that live that don't have access to a really quick response, that maybe live in the city limits. But we did want to give that opportunity, and I would hope we, not preference, but we'll give those people opportunity first in the waiting list, the ones possibly that live further away. I mean, those details can be worked out, but I do think that was the idea, not to just give it away, but with the purpose of improve the safety as a whole.
Okay, further, yes, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
so, you know, we did a resolution where the borough encourages residents to maintain a firearm, ammunition for self-protection and protection of their community. I think everybody out there should be safely trained, and I think 75,000 would be a good number.
Okay, further, yes, Assemblyperson Sumner, go ahead.
Can I just say, how much was funded last year?
Yes, Assemblyperson Hours, go ahead.
I think if there's any place that doesn't like the government telling them what to do, it's the Valley. But if there's any place that people don't need to be told that they should have a gun and use a gun, it's the Valley. I think we all have guns and use guns. To Assemblymember Sumner's point, I haven't seen any evidence that people are taking this class who otherwise wouldn't. We didn't make it means tested. If you make something free, people will take advantage of it. So I'm not surprised about the demand. I think that it's good to have firearm safety training, but there's places for people to get that, and there's no evidence that we're doing anything besides pushing money to people who are doing the firearm safety training for people who would take the classes anyway. So I think 50,000, it's popular. I think that's just in the kind of a prudence of the government's money. I would say 50.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, and then.
Again, I would like to ask Russ to come forward and speak to this. on what his finding has been.
Okay. While he's coming up, Assemblyperson Hale, did you have a statement or comment?
Yeah, just real brief. You know that the borough's job is roads and schools and fire trucks, and this is a luxury that we can afford this year. This amendment will bring the fund balance below 500,000. The undesignated fund balance below $500,000. So I'm willing to support this, but once this passes, I will not be supporting any further reductions in the fund balance.
Okay. See, any of the assembly have concerns regarding having staff address any questions that you've had? Okay, go ahead, sir. No, do you want somebody to repeat the question? I know there were lots of stuff battered about, so.
I can share
Okay.
the information. I think that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Russ Kraft, purchasing director for the borough, to Assemblymember Bernier through the mayor. So I don't have numbers as of today. We've stopped tracking the waiting list, but if I go all the way back to the beginning of November when we were first signing people up, the data that I had back then was we had 300 slots that were identified, and at that point we had 475 people that had signed up. So well in excess of 50% extra people that were going. Throughout the process, it is a free project. We did have some people that had signed up, committed to it, didn't show for the classes. The contractor actually went ahead and added classes to make that up, to bring people in. So I've shared some of the feedback, and I will share all of the feedback as we wrap up, but it has been overwhelmingly positive, and people are asking for follow-on classes and more opportunities. Those people that did not have a chance to attend are looking for this opportunity as well.
Any questions of staff? Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. Is there objection to the amendment to reduce it to 50,000? Okay, so we have some objection.
If I can get the members to go ahead and vote.
So a yes would reduce the amount to 50, and no would.
Madam Mayor, it failed with Assemblymember Hale and Nowers in support.
Okay, so now we're back to amendment number 5 with the 75,000. Further discussion on that amendment? Okay, is there any objection to that amendment? Do we have some objection? Nope. Hearing no objection, then amendment number 5 has passed. Okay, whoever wants to go.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna hand out, this was prepared earlier. You guys will have a letter that is from the organization that earlier spoke. It kind of goes into detail on what they're doing and what the plan is. They spoke today, and I actually didn't know what disc golf was till 2 years ago. And when I learned about it and went to their competition and found out how involved it is on the regardless of what the weather is and regardless of what the age, gender, or things like that, there's just it's a very family involved business or sport, I should say, where it brings people from all over the valley. But this Alcantara is a kind of very centralized, central location where there has a decent amount of parking, and there's a lot of it's a good place to run this thing, and they've their league has put a lot of efforts on their own. And 2 years ago, we got them partially paid for the baskets. They had some money, but anyways, they installed. As you heard, that they are very thankful for it. This expands the park, so we're not investing into their program. We're this expense is gonna be towards improving the park as a whole in that area, which gives more options, the cleaner and everything, and a lot of stuff that needs to be cleared for the safety of the brush and the old trees and things like that. So this amendment would number would be 6, correct?
6, uh-huh.
This would be 6. Lonnie, which, do we need to read the whole
Sure.
thing or just?
I can read it.
Go ahead.
Assemblymember Bonoff moves to amend as follows and make any other conforming changes to the budget. The area-wide fund, non-departmental, transfer to 415, 425, 430, 435, 440, 470, 446, 700 by increasing the appropriation by the amount of 30,000 and adding the capital project Matsu Disc Golf Association grant for 30,000 to be used for obtaining contracted services for disc golf improvements. This project will decrease the proposed fund balance and will not increase the mill rate.
Okay. Ready, I think you've already
and just to
spoken to
add,
it, but go ahead.
This is, this doesn't benefit just the organization. It is improvement to a park that we already have. There is no locks. People still use that at any time in the summer and the winter. This is investment into something that we own and into our families. So I hope you support me on that.
Discussion on amendment number 6. Assemblyperson Hale, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I really wish I could support this because I am much more likely to go to Alcantara and play disc golf than I am to take advantage of the free firearms training. But our fund balance is now below $450,000, and typically we like to keep $500,000 in there just in case we don't gather as much revenue as we thought we would. So I'm going to have to oppose this.
Okay. Assemblyperson Nowers.
Mr. Strawn's going to throw a disc golf at me. I have never liked, I don't think it's good fiscal discipline and fiscal conservativeness to not have a process that is open and transparent to all groups. And I really appreciate the activism of the groups that have come to us and spoken to it and their love for it. But we have a process. We could do this as a capital improvement project that allows scoring across the board and look at projects. I feel like we fall into this thing where groups that are more connected than others or know about things come to us and ask us for money, and it feels unfair to other groups who just don't even know to ask, and it's not really a vetted system. So I think this could go through the CIP process. We did give 10,000 for baskets before. I've never liked how we do these. From the first time I came on the assembly, I said we need a process where we decide we're going to spend 100,000 a year toward these kind of things, and then groups come and apply, and you rate them and you have a process for it. Instead, it's just whoever thinks to come ask and gets our ear at the right time. And that doesn't feel like a good budgeting process. So I will not be supporting this, but I could support a CIP for this. And I also would think this is the type of project that a sports team can really get funding from a lot of different groups, like Palmer Community Foundation. Like there's a lot of places you can get small capital funding other than the borough taxpayer. And again, it just comes down to being a good steward of the taxpayers' money. So I'm sorry to not be able to support this, and please don't throw a Frisbee at me.
Assemblyperson McKee, do you have your mic on?
Thought it was on.
Thank
This
you.
says by increasing the appropriation by 30,000. What is the current appropriation? What, 0? Well, that word is kind of confusing to me, so I'll just cross that out. All right, thank you.
Okay. Assemblyperson Sumner.
Yeah, those questions for Assemblymember Nowers. And don't take this the wrong way, because I'm genuinely curious. I'm not being cynical here, but what's the difference between this disc golf capital project and the airport, Palmer Airport capital project?
The airport is an economic driver in the borough and a safety issue, so I think it's in a separate category from a sort of, I guess, to use the word that Mr. Hale used, luxury. This is a luxury, and I think that's more of a necessity for the borough and the residents. So.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, my curiosity is why was the the $50,000 for the Palmer Airport, which was given last year. Why was that not included in the budget in a different area? And there was, quote unquote, connected people that came to the assembly and asked for this $50,000 this year.
Further discussion on amendment number 6. I hear there is objection, so Madam Clerk.
If I can get the members in the room to vote on the amendment, please. Madam Mayor, it has passed with Assemblymember McKee, Assemblymember Hale, and Assemblymember Nowers opposed.
Okay, thank you. So number 6. Okay, who wants?
Oh,
Okay, Assemblyperson Farnock, go
all
ahead.
right, I'll go to amendment number 7, and this is from the page 129. I think we,
Can you just read the dark heading first so we can get?
yes, okay. Area fund, planning and land use community cleanup.
Okay.
Page 127, it is in the package here, I think, very last
Okay,
page.
that's the very last one in the packet. Yeah,
We had a very good discussion with Mr. Ortiz last time. We didn't know the exact number. I think we had all the questions answered at that time. I don't want to take too much of your time. I would like you guys to support it. We heard some positive feedback today through one of the community council people, and this is the actual, now has the number of what that, I guess, on-call position to the full-time, the difference is.
okay, discussion on amendment number 7. Is everybody there? Assemblyperson Hale, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I support this amendment. It's not coming from the fund balance. It's a continuing full-time employee doing the job. We talked about this at the last budget. We talked about maybe having a full-time employee then. We decided that we were going to go part-time and then and see how it worked out. It sounded like it worked out great, and there's a lot more that we could do if we had that person all year round. So I'm definitely going to support this. Thank you.
Further discussion on amendment number 7. Assemblyperson Sumner, go ahead.
Yeah, and maybe, and this is probably a question for staff, but my question is have the problem properties been getting cleaned up faster than new problem properties have been arising currently? And I think Jason could answer that.
I'm going to touch well if he wants to come, but for first time, I think last year when we had a report, we actually had more cases closed than opened. So we've actually made good stride with when it comes to closing the thing, but he probably has the numbers and things like that.
Go ahead and follow up, sir.
I mean, if we are closing more cases than they're opening, then that is a strong argument that the part-time position is meeting the demand and it's adequate for the need. So, my problem is adding a full-time employee is not just $76,290 this year. It's that extra $76,290 in perpetuity, forever. So I think we should wait one more year, would be my 2 cents.
Okay. Further discussion on amendment number 7. Deputy
What-
Mayor.
What was the part-time, how much time was involved and what kind of monies was involved?
Assembly have any concerns regarding asking staff? Okay, go ahead, sir.
Hi, good evening. Jason Ortiz, Deputy Director of Planning, through the mayor to Assemblymember Bernier. You want to know how many hours the part-time person worked last year? I believe it's about 700 hours. They were allotted 1,000. They worked about 700 hours.
And what would a full-time employee get?
Oh, well, it would
52
be,
times 40?
yeah, it would just be 40 hours a week.
And then pension and health
Correct.
insurance
It's
and all that
benefits.
stuff.
It is all that, yes.
So how much more are,
The difference between is your question, sir, the difference between the two? I believe it's, well, Cheyenne might be able to answer.
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Bernier, The increase for the wages difference between a part-time to a permanent position is $76,290. Yes.
Okay. All righty.
Can I ask a
Thank you,
question?
sir. Yes, Assembly.
A question to Jason. Can you briefly touch, because besides just the organizing the major cleanups, the intention, what we've talked and you've previously talked in the last meeting, the idea for the keeping the specifically full-time thing is to work with the DA's office on is a deferral program. Can you briefly say of what, besides just the actual cleanup, what else we intend to do with this position?
Sure, through the mayor to Assemblymember Fonoff. So the idea is to expand this diversion program, right? The diversion program, we did one property because really by the time we hired a person, it was July 22nd. We set a goal of cleaning up 20 properties. We cleaned up 19 properties. One of those was through a diversion program. There's a opportunity to expand the diversion program. The diversion program requires commitment all year round of building relationships, working out the arrangements with the district attorney and Department of Law. In addition, there is a talk, depending on which direction Manager Brown wants to go, but there's a talk about creating efficiencies within the borough. We have 3 separate divisions doing work right now. We have solid waste doing some work that's cleaning up rights of ways and community cleanup programs. We have land management that's dealing with properties that tax foreclosure properties, so that get clerk's deed. And that we probably have about 24 code compliance cases that have clerk's deed that the borough owns. So we're actively not doing anything because the borough owns these properties, but we need to get them cleaned up, put on the tax roll. So we've talked about combining all the functions of all those into one area. So this position would be doing that, cultivating the relationships with the district attorney's office to expand the DA program. So there's a lot that it can do. There's plenty of work. There's not a question of whether or not they're going to be doing work.
Yeah.
What would it look like if you had 2 part-time employees, one in the summer and one in the winter, to where they offset each other? Would we be looking at 60,000 for the year?
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Bernier, the original budget as presented had 2 part-time employees in it. This amendment removes 1 part-time employee and makes it a permanent position.
Did you understand what she
So,
said, or does she need to
One
repeat it?
part-time and one full-time?
The original budget that you received included 2 part-time employees already, 2,000-hour employees. This amendment would take away one of those part-time employees and create a full-time, which would leave you a full-time and a part-time in the budget.
So through the mayor to Assemblymember Bernier, to answer your question, what it would look like, it's the one easiest analogy I can give is from a staffing perspective. And before I joined the borough, right, it makes in a certain perspective, it makes sense. Like, oh, let's just get some people for these areas and surge, right? Surge when it's needed. Here's a good example, right-of-way, right? The right-of-way inspectors. We used to have temporary right-of-way inspectors. And what we learned is it's very difficult to get people in there and get them hired. And by the time we get them hired, then we're behind on things. And it's this forever catch-up. And then you have to train everyone and get them up to speed. And temporary employees, it's just really difficult to be super successful on a program. To say it's not possible, that would be a lie. It's all possible. Things are possible, but to what degree do you want to invest in it is the question. So I think, I've really analyzed it quite a lot. And sure, whatever the assembly gives us, we're going to roll with whatever. We're going to be successful on anything, but it just depends on what level of success you want to see, how great you want to see our program. The one thing I can say is I was invited to speak at the Alaska Municipal League last year. We've had a lot of municipalities, boroughs, places that have reached out to us because they've seen it either on the news, they've heard about what we're doing. I cannot find an instance of another city, borough, municipality, anywhere in the United States that's doing a private property cleanup like what we're doing. We didn't reinvent the wheel, but we did create something that's very unique. Most cleanup programs are working together in conjunction with law and getting judgments and getting court orders, and then going back and charging to do these cleanups, and they're doing it a different process. We're doing this in a unique way on a shoestring budget.
Okay, Assemblyperson Hale, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I got a question, possibly for staff, but mostly to the sponsor, and then I may have a secondary amendment. What was the thinking going into this with having the full-time employee and keeping the other part-time employee?
The part-time is incorrect term. It's on-call or seasonal. There's 1,000-hour limit, and it's for the benefit reasons, so many things. So basically, part-time employee is gonna cost pretty much anywhere between the 30,000 and the full amount. If we do, because part-time, we do have to offer certain benefits. The seasonal, for this, I guess we call it on-call position, that actually coordinates the efforts with a nonprofit organization like Adult and Teen Challenge, where it meets them, where their hands in bag. It's the person that maybe drives to a truck. That's the person that will coordinate, make sure the trash containers pulled at the right place at the cleanup and things like that. That's gonna be during the peak season of the cleanup. The full-time position will be coordinating. We're really fond of taking the two additional, what Jason was talking about, other departments that already have decent amount of work and that will clean up. It'll be centralized to the one position, but also we will have a very good success just only on a minimal scale with the diversion program. And what diversion program requires is people who are going through the court process, who qualify, who might have a first-time offense. So instead of them just paying it to the state, they will have opportunity where they could do something very useful for the borough that has a very high of a value. And we have had example of that. So of tens of $1,000s for just one case. So I think it's just it'll give the opportunity for people who live in the Matsu Valley that might have made mistakes that will qualify based on certain perimeters, and DA is willing to work with us to pay their debt to society, not in just a fine or going to jail, but actually doing something very useful. I think that actually would teach those people who go through the process is a lot more value of their way of paying debt, but in a lot different way. And for that person, for that reason, there has to be a person who can be there throughout the year to coordinate, because we might have a case in December, but we'll coordinate something till in June for them to complete some kind of task. So I guess that's kind of answer.
Good follow-up, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I would move to reduce the second part-time employee. And if I might speak to it, you may have to write up something for me there to be perfectly clear. But we had a part-time employee or temp employee. Now we're going to a full-time. If next year we decide we want another part-time, temp person to help this full-time employee out, I think we move to that then. But let's just go to a single full-time employee now, and then see where we're at then.
Okay, let me see if I understand correctly. Right now in the budget, and Mike, you correct me if I'm wrong. Right now in the budget, that what's been presented is 2 part-time people. So if it's on. Don't worry about splitting hairs, please.
It is a big difference.
So anyway, that part-time is what Cheyenne said. So anyway, so my understanding is this would take one of those, make it full-time, so we'd end up with 1 full-time and 1 on-call or part-time, whatever, right? That's where you want to get.
That is my understanding as well. I'd like to reduce that to just the 1 full-time person, convert the 1 position to a full-time position, and then remove the other. So I move to strike. I move to strike $30,000 and in its place insert 63,910. And that would leave us with the one full-time employee performing in this position, which I do think that we need. But if we need to expand this effort again at a later time, then we can do that. We can always, with the budget, hire more people. But I think that the experience that we had with the on-call part-time person shows that there is enough work for a full-time employee. But do we want to expand it to a 1.5 employees? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't.
Okay. Assemblyperson McKee?
When, I think it was Jason was talking about it, and he said that we had 1,000 hours allotted, but we only use 700. If we only use 700, why do we need more people?
Through the mayor, to Assemblymember McKee, I believe there was some way it was written or that it was discussed here at the assembly that said that the employee was going to work till December 31st or something like that. There was something about that came out like that, and rather than do legislation and do changes and stuff, we just let it be.
But we did okay even though we let it be, and we had 300 more hours.
I'm sorry, didn't.
And so we let it be and they didn't do it, but we still did okay, and we got like 19 properties cleaned up or something like that.
We did, yeah. I mean, it was a team effort. It wasn't
Yeah.
just that, code compliance
Sure.
working together, everyone, all of us working together.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Assemblyperson Nowers, go ahead.
Just kind of a question. It makes sense what Mr. Hale has proposed, that, hey, we ramp this up to a full-time person from a single on-call. Is there any, besides it's always better to have more manpower, is there any implementation reason that we need to have an on-call on top of a full-time person?
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Nowers, I guess I look at it from a perspective of just knowing the potential success that we have for this program, and it really does need that to be successful. But again, whatever the assembly chose to do, we would make work. We would be successful and what we label as success.
Well, what?
You really do need a full-time position and an on-call position, is what you're saying?
If through the mayor to Assemblymember Nowers, if we're going to be taking on all these things, all these different areas and doing that, it is a lot of work. One person to do all that is a lot of work. So there really is a surge, right? We know that once the snow's gone, and like this year, we had the opportunity to work. We could have been working all year, but there's an opportunity to take advantage of that and be in multiple places. If we were to do take over all these and consolidate all these divisions into one, there's a lot of work to be done. So they would be busy, and so one person might be doing a cleanup, another might be responding and working with the diversion folks and doing a road cleanup or a side of a road or a parks or a trail, or organizing a cleanup at one of our Clerksteed properties. And, so there's a lot to be done in a time frame. And then those winter months where that one full-time would just be there cultivating, scheduling, getting it all lined up for the next season.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. I can see that. It's like the busy season, summer,
Yeah.
the cleanup season. So having that makes sense. It's very popular, and there's a lot to be cleaned up in the valley. So maybe we hit it hard for a year, and then we're done cleaning up the valley. Got it all done.
Assemblyperson Palmer?
I do have a question, Jason. Jason, if we had to choose, and you overseen a program, I know the ideal situation to have them both, but if you had to choose one full-time person or two on-call position, which one you see more resultful?
Of course, the full-time, because it gives all year one person, and institutional knowledge is not lost. So one that makes the most sense. Again, like I said, whatever the assembly chooses to do, you guys choose to do. It's what you guys choose to invest in and how you want to see success. If you come this year and say, we want to put this baseline here, and then let's come and look at it again next year, and you set goals, I'm going to hit those goals and we're going to be successful. So it's just a matter of what we want to, how much we want to invest into it.
I do will support your amendment on that. Only for the reason, as much as I support fully the cleanup, and I'll probably voice this a lot, and I'm gonna say that we are upgrading significantly from the on-call to a full-time, and then next year when we're sitting here, I think if that those bridges are built, there's plenty of work, and we actually do need a coordinator during the season. I will support that. So I would say I will support that amendment. I do think it's a wise approach to what we're trying to achieve. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion on the amendment to amendment number 7. Okay. Pardon?
I'm just making sure that everybody knows it's the secondary amendment.
Mm-hmm, right. Okay. Do we have objection to the secondary amendment? You do? Okay, so we do have objection, okay.
If I can get everybody in the room to vote. Madam Mayor, it passed with Assemblymember Nowers opposed.
Okay. Alrighty, so now we need to vote on amendment number 7 as changed by the secondary amendment, okay?
So just for the record, we are substituted right now, this amendment, instead of having 2 on-call positions to 1 full-time position, if we vote in favor for this.
Yes, yes, sir. Is there objection to amendment number 7 as changed? Okay, yes, Assemblyperson Sumner. Okay, you object, okay, so then we'll need to vote. Yeah, yeah.
Madam Mayor, it passed with Assemblymember Bernier and Sumner opposed.
Okay. Yes.
And thank you, Madam Mayor. I was curious, so in the last amendment that just passed, the increase in the area-wide mill rate was by 0.005. Do we have a number for what the increase is now instead?
We're working on it.
Okay.
Do you mind if we go ahead with the next thing? Okay, alrighty. Oh my God. You trip over the dog? Oh, okay, okay. Okay, so. Okay, okay. Well, we could decide what to do. Okay, who wants to do the next amendment? Maybe, can we go, Deputy Mayor, can we take up, if you don't mind, so we go, start with the amendments that are in the packet? Okay. So it would be the Talkeetna Road Service area. That's one I have. So if people don't mind, we'll try to do that so we be sure everybody's on the same page. But I think everybody's doing very well, so.
Talkeetna Road Service Area, page 380.
Okay, and this will be amendment number 8, correct, Madam Clerk? Okay, and so you want to go ahead and read that, or do you want the clerk to read it?
I'll have the clerk read it.
Okay.
Assemblymember Bernier moves to amend as follows and make any other conforming changes to the budget, the annual road maintenance contract by increasing the appropriation by the amount of $47,530 and reappropriating $25,530 from project 30049-1800 Talkeetna Road Service Area Capital Project into the operating budget.
Okay. Questions? Yes, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
So this was brought forward by the Talkeetna Community Council. It's for a zero berm on their snow plowing. So they had gotten bids, A, B, and C, for a 12-inch berm, and they elected to go with a 0-inch berm, and that's what this amendment is for.
Okay. Discussion about amendment number, yes, Assemblyperson Hale, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious. I'm going to support the assembly member from that district in this amendment, but I was curious. For Are they sacrificing an actual capital project to do this, or are they just moving money from the capital? Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty, further discussion on amendment number 8? Is there any objection to amendment number 8? Okay, hearing none, then amendment number 8 has passed. And then the next one is you also, Deputy Mayor.
Detrimental and capital project, page 473. I move to amend to as follows, make any other conforming changes to the budget. The non-area wide fund, non-departmental transfer to 415, 425, 430, 435, 440, 470, 446.700 by increasing the appropriation of the amount of 48,000 and adding the capital project Willow Library Walking Trail, the Oval, for the amount of 48,000 with the following project description. Design construction of the access walking trail behind the library to provide a safe and secondary egress and ingress to the property. This project will decrease the proposed fund balance and will not increase the mill rate.
Okay.
This is a
Go ahead.
trail behind the library that goes over to the senior center. So right now, when it's in the winter and stuff, the seniors, instead of getting out and walking, they have to take and get in the car, drive to around the side over to the library, and then this would actually give them exercise, getting back and forth to the library. One of the few things that they have as actual enjoyment to get out and do stuff.
And this was one of the requests when we
Yes.
had it in the
That's
Willow.
correct.
Yeah, okay. Further discussion, Assemblyperson Sumner?
Yeah, Mr. Bernier, do you intend on moving the other amendment for the Willow Library as well?
I don't know. I guess that's sort of. Well, that's sort of out of order.
My question,
That question I think is sort of out of order because we're talking about this amendment, okay? Do you want to have a brief at so you can go ask him?
yeah, actually, could I ask for a brief recess?
Okay, alrighty. So recess and we'll come back in 5 minutes after 7. How about that? I'm going to go ahead and call the assembly back to order again, please. We are on amendment number 9. It has been moved. Further discussion on amendment number 9. Yes, Assemblyperson Hale.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So our current unallocated fund balance right now is, before this amendment, is $414,000, which means that if we collect $500,000 less than projected in bed tax or cannabis sales tax or nicotine tax, or any combination of those three, the budget, we will overrun our budget. And so that's why we keep $500,000 in the unexpended fund balance. And therefore, as I said, unfortunately, I will not be able to support any amendments that further reduce the unassigned fund balance.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
Yes, so through the mayor, just for the record, this amendment and the one that might come next are both non-area wide. So we're operating with a different fund balance because it's a different fund. So Cheyenne, if you could put what's the projected fund balance for non-area wide as it stands before this amendment?
That changes everything.
Through the mayor to the assembly, the projected fund balance before this amendment was $163,864.
Okay, further discussion on amendment number 9. Do we have an objection to amendment number 9?
I want to understand a little more what Mike and Shannon just brought up. So this is dedicated that area, the money out of coming, or how much each of us get to play with, I guess.
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Fonoff, this amendment is coming out of the non-area wide fund. It has its own fund balance. So its fund balance is $163,864. It is totally separate from area-wide fund balance.
Okay, Assemblyperson Gamble?
So non-area wide is dedicated funds, right? To
Yeah.
service area or something specific. So how can we have a fund balance in non-area wide if all the money is dedicated?
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Gamble, non-area wide, okay, so you have to look at it this way. Area wide is the entire borough. Non-area wide tax is the tax on those residents' properties outside of the incorporated cities. So non-area wide fund pays for animal care, libraries, those things. So each, just like a fire service area can have its own fund balance, non-area wide can have its own fund balance. Because we tax a non-area wide tax, we budget expenditures just like we do in every other fund. And if expenditures are less than what revenues come in, then you generate a fund balance.
Right. I understand all that because of my history with the borough. But I guess my question is, like, if you have a fire service area fund balance, it stays with that.
And the
service.
non-area wide fund balance stays with non-area
Okay,
wide
so
fund.
it's libraries, animal care,
Library, everything that's
that's
dealt
not a
with-
fire service area
That's
or-
not,
or
not
road
within a
service
city,
area.
not a service within a city.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, is there, somebody has their light on down there, Assemblyperson Key?
So does that mean that anybody, anywhere in the borough has access to that $163,000, or is that just for Willow?
No, through the mayor to Assemblymember McKee. The non-area wide fund balance is raised from taxes from people that live outside of the 3 incorporated cities. So we provide library services outside the cities. We provide animal care outside of the cities. That's what this fund balance supports.
So, but if that 163, hypothetically, $1,000 non-area wide fund balance was used all at Willow, would there be any left for somebody like in Talkeetna or someplace else?
Assemblymember McKee, through the mayor, that would be the assembly's discretion on how they want to spend that fund balance.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So through the mayor to the assembly, A projected fund balance is essentially when your revenues exceed your expenditures by that amount. We do that intentionally under area-wide because some of our revenues are estimated. And Mr. Hale just detailed a laundry list of those revenues that might not be what you think they will be. Non-area-wide for us is just libraries and animal care. If the assembly did not want a projected fund balance there, you could remove the 163,000 and whatever it was, and reduce the mill rate for non-area wide by that amount. That's what you would do if you want that to be zero.
But through the mayor to the assembly, again, tax revenues and non-area wide fund is an estimate of what we anticipate to collect for tax revenues.
Right, and ma'am.
Go ahead, sure.
And so through the mayor, we don't always collect all the taxes that we project. There's uncollectibles, right? So that's why there's always a little bit of space in there because you're working on estimates. And when we do the audit, we report out on that every year, and we tell you what those numbers are. And then our approach generally has been take any fund balance that's generated and roll it into the next year's budget. We don't sit on it. We don't save it. But yes, usually there's a fund balance because our management controls will not allow you to spend everything, to be quite honest, because you can't hit it exactly on the mark. And we don't let people overspend. So you typically end up with some form of fund balance because things change throughout the course of a year. Sometimes our revenues are more, like bed tax has been pretty positive recently, right? But we don't know exactly what that's going to look like. So we have to estimate or project that, forecast it, and sometimes we might be closer than others. But so I don't want you to get this idea that there's money out there that's not spoken for or somehow is available to different people. When you approve the budget, you're appropriating those funds and telling us what we have authority to spend on. And what you don't give us, we don't have the authority for.
Okay, Assemblyperson Hale?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So what was the estimated non-area wide fund balance last year, and what was the actual audited excess of expenditures? I know with the area wide fund balance we had like 14 million, but that was because of a unrealized capital gains that the finance department worked very hard to make sure that was calculated correctly. You know, it's kind of a one-off year with the area wide fund balance, but
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Hale, I do not have the last year's proposed or estimated fund balance for fiscal year 25 right now, but I can get it for you. But the audited number at the end of June 30, 2024 was $2,005,557.
and I'm assuming that I'm going to guess that was much larger than the proposed fund balance because you wouldn't put that kind of proposed fund balance into the budget.
That was correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Assemblyperson Nowers, go ahead.
So that non-area wide fund, just to be clear, is that restricted to animal shelter and library spending, or can it be spent on anything?
It is restricted to non-area wide functions.
Okay, all righty. So we have amendment number 9 before us. Is there an objection? Okay. You object? Okay. So, Madam Clerk, then please.
I can get the members to go ahead and vote on amendment number 9. Madam Mayor, it passed with Assemblymember McKee opposed.
Okay. So then, turning the page, Deputy Mayor, you have the next proposed one. Do you want to move this one?
Okay.
Okay, well, go ahead and say I move, and then Lonnie can read.
To amend as follows and make any other non-conforming changes to the budget, the non-area wide fund, non-departmental, transfer to 415, 425, 430, 435, 440, 470, 446.700 by increasing the appropriation by the amount of $25,000 and adding the capital project Willow Library Meeting Room soundproofing for the amount of $25,000 with the following project description: improvement of the Willow Library meeting room acoustics. This project will decrease the proposed fund balance and will not increase the mill rate.
Okay,
And that is amendment number 10.
okay. Discussion on amendment number 10. Oh yes, Assemblyperson Sumner, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, this is the, second capital project that the Willow Library has asked for, and we already gave them a larger one. I think that fiscal prudence would say that they can wait till next year. So far we've spent every dime that's been asked for on these amendments. Let's exercise some fiscal responsibility and conservatism. That's what I would ask.
Okay, Assemblyperson Falnoff, go ahead.
I actually, after that meeting, I did stop by that room that they want to improve the thing.
Mm-hmm.
This, to be real honest with you, the sound in there is pretty decent. Okay. I do as a side thing, so for events things, I do sound. So the complaint was somebody couldn't hear very online. It could be for many reasons. The computer or microphone could have been set at the wrong person, could have been far away from the microphone. There could have been a bad internet. It's a wish list. I think just because that's where I didn't see enough reasons there for them to have. And it's a small room. They want, what do you call it? Acoustical ceiling like this, and with few panels on the sides. That is in a private setting. We did some for a church recently. The $12,000 was for soundproofing was bigger than this room, where they want $25,000 for the room that is fraction. It's probably a little bigger than our conference room, so I would not support that.
Okay, further discussion on amendment number 10. I hear that we do have some objections, so Madam Clerk?
Members can go ahead and vote. Madam Mayor, it failed with Assemblymember Bernier and Hale in support.
Okay. Assemblyperson Sumner, did you want to introduce the next one, number 11?
Yeah, I move to amend as, will I read the title first?
I would just say move to amend.
I move to amend as follows and make any other conforming changes to the budget. The area-wide fund non-departmental transfer to 415/425/435/435/440/470, parentheses 446.700, by decreasing appropriation by the amount of $530,000 and decreasing the area-wide capital project Big Lake Recreation Center by the amount of $530,000, and the land management fund non-departmental transfer to 415/425/430/435/440/470, 446.700, by increasing the appropriation by the amount of $530,000 and increasing the land management capital project Big Lake Recreation Center by the amount of $530,000, and appropriating $530,000 from the land management permanent fund of the fiscal year 2026 land management operating to fund the Big Lake Recreation Center capital project. This will reduce the area-wide mill rate by 0.036.
Okay, discussion about amendment, Assemblyperson Hale, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Question first and then probably a comment. Where does that leave the land management permanent fund? What kind of balance would that leave remaining in there?
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Hale. After we take out Jonesville and this amendment, the estimated permanent fund balance would be $700,231.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I think this is a really well crafted amendment. I think we're using funds that we get from managing our lands, from selling borough lots, from hay lease sales money, and we're using it to build a capital project. This is exactly where I got the money for Jonesville from the first time, and the money that we're getting for Jonesville this time. And not only that, but it reduces the area-wide mill rate. So kudos to the maker.
Okay, Assemblyperson Sumner.
Yeah, I think Mr. Hale succinctly put my intention. The conversation that I had with Mr. Brown was hey, we're buying something shiny and new, let's get rid of, let's sell any land that's not nailed down. My intention was that as the assembly, we're also giving the directive to the land management, hey, sell some more land. Only 1% of the land in the state of Alaska is privately held. We also have pretty expensive housing. Let's get some of this government land into the hands of the private owners.
Yes, Assemblyperson Nowers, go ahead.
I don't have an objection to this, but I'm just kind of, I was curious about the origins of the Land Management Permanent Fund. And question for Cheyenne is how much, I thought I saw in the budget that permanent fund had 188,000 in interest? Or do you know how much interest?
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Nowers. Yes, the current interest or accumulated interest earnings on that fund is 188,000. So that's in addition to the corpus of the permanent fund.
So the accumulated interest over the past year or accumulated over?
Since the inception of the fund that has not been spent in prior years.
Okay. I don't know. It's a weird, the word permanent fund means something to me that's different than how we're using it, because not very permanent if you're spending it down all the time. So it's like we've got this finite resource in our land and we're selling it and then we're putting it in a fund. And I guess I wasn't here when it was created. So I don't know if the intent was like, hey, we're going to take this finite resource, sell it, have a fund, and spin off the funding for it. And we're not doing that. Obviously, the plus is that residents have a lower mill rate now, but they don't have something that could help. Permanent fund might be, I don't know, if you can spin off interest and use that, you're perpetually having something that can fund your operations. So I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. We don't get a chance to delve into these things much, and the budget's kind of a time. So I did just kind of have a brief side conversation with the manager about it, and he said, as far as you know, or he knows that it has permanent in there, but it's never been used in that respect. So I don't know if anybody else at the table has any other history of what the intent was when the borough assembly started this permanent fund.
Mr. Attorney, are you?
I can tell you what I know.
Okay.
So I wasn't here either. I don't think Cheyenne was here. Oh, were you?
I was here shortly after it was created, so I can tell you what the intent was with the permanent fund.
Yeah, I can tell you. Go ahead.
And Nick can do that also. So the intent was to set aside sale of borough property and create this permanent fund. The permanent fund has been utilized or can be utilized for acquisition of properties, capital. In the past, it has been used to facilitate repairs at the dock or the port. It's been used to purchase school property. It's been used in a right of way. And not only has the corpus been used, but also the interest.
Mr. Attorney, do you have anything to add? Do you want to add?
No, the code does purport to restrict what you could spend the permanent fund on. It's not really worth the paper it's printed on because the assembly always has control over the monies. But yeah, that's what Cheyenne is correct. So it was an intent to fund acquisitions of land with the prior land disposals and then also gain interest as it goes.
Okay, Assemblyperson Nowers.
So just to clarify, as far as either of you know, it was never set up by the assembly with the intent that we would just use the interest off it and keep money in there to earn interest and pay for things.
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Nowers. When they first started using it, they only utilized interest, but as Nick said, it's up to the assembly's discretion how do they utilize that fund. And so then in the past, they have utilized the corpus of the permanent fund.
Okay, Assemblyperson Hale.
Yeah, so what was the original corpus and how do we have any idea of what so let's say that if all of the land that we had sold and all of the things that go into the land management permanent fund, do we have any idea what the corpus would look like today if the assembly had not attached money from that to do other projects?
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Hale, that would take a little bit of research because they've been spending it as long as I've been here.
Fair enough.
Assemblyperson Sumner.
Oh, I mean, I would just like to add on this line of conversation that I think that, we're not oil rich. The borough isn't oil rich like the state is. We don't have the means to establish a permanent fund like the state. But I think that tax dollars are better kept in our citizens' wallets where they can invest them the way they see prudent, rather than in the government's pocket.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just it's just interesting to me that a former assembly thought of it as a permanent fund that could spend, at least intentionally, initially, right? And then it changed. And it's just that you only have so much land to sell. You never get that back. So it's like the whole idea with the oil permanent fund. You invest, you take the money, you invest it, and then you have a perpetual resource. So we clearly are not alone in doing what we're doing. It's just a kind of a conscious choice to do it that way and not have those funds. But I did ask Cheyenne earlier today, and maybe just to confirm, like, we don't invest this money any differently than any other funds. We are earning interest on all our funds that we have at the borough as much as we can, and keeping cash flow in account.
Through the mayor to Assembly Member Dowers, yes, all borough funds are placed in one investment pool. We are limited as to what we can invest on based upon the investment policy. And then at year end, interest or earnings are allocated out to all the funds that have cash available in their funds.
Okay. Thank you. A lot of discussion, but I support it.
Mr. Attorney?
Just to follow up on the permanent funds, so everybody's not misled or anything. So the code does say that 25% of all receipts from sale, lease, or use of any borough real property goes into the permanent fund. And when it comes to operations, it says that the assembly may only appropriate interest earnings of the permanent fund for land management activities with any given year. So the code purports to restrict funding the land management department from the permanent fund to only the interest. But the code also says that the land management fund shall only be spent by the assembly for sub-accounts, capital improvements, including not limited to schools, trails, roads, streets, bridges, ports, infrastructures, airfields, park acquisition, utilities, property acquisition, administration of borough land management program for the selection, surveying, engineering of selection of property, and maintenance of real property management records. So the code does draw a distinction between what a prior assembly said, well, you should only use the interest for operations, but the capital for other capital, so to speak. However, as I said before, it's not really worth the ink because this assembly can decide what to do with money.
Well, let's see, whose light is on down deep?
Oops,
Okay,
yeah.
Assemblyperson McKee, go ahead.
It says, to fund the Big Lake Recreation Center capital project. What are they actually going to be spending this on? That's a lot of money, $500,000. What are they going to actually do with that?
Through the mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is to fund the acquisition of the facility and the health and safety improvements. So
Yes, we did.
it was already in the capital budget for this amount. What Mr. Sumner's amendment does is changes the source of the funds to pay for that acquisition.
I see.
Such that it's not coming off of property taxes, it's coming off of land and resource sales.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay,
Question.
Assemblyperson Fauna?
This is just addresses the purchase price, not anything to do with operations, correct?
Through the mayor, that's correct.
Because the full budget related to that purchase and then also operations, it is significantly higher, correct? Because
That's correct. I believe there was a draft amendment in the last packet that was not moved that detailed those numbers. So I'm Cheyenne will probably find it faster than I
Yeah,
can.
page one.
Oops, sorry.
Last page.
Last page.
Yeah, I think it was roughly 450 to 475,000 annually, roughly. But in the amendment that Mr. Fawnoff did not move, in the last packet details those operating expenses that are included in this proposed budget for operating the facility.
Okay, Assemblyperson Hale?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I was just going to say this gets us about halfway. The previous amendment that was not moved would have reduced the area-wide mill rate by .076. This amendment reduces the area-wide mill rate by .036, so just about halfway.
Okay, further discussion on amendment number 11. Is there objection to amendment number 11? Yes, we do have objection.
If I can get the members in the room to vote, please. Madam Mayor, it passed with Assemblymember Bernier opposed.
Okay. So then the next one, Assemblyperson Palmoff, I guess, is yours in the packet. You want to move it?
Yeah, I move, and Lonnie can read.
You to read it?
Yeah.
To amend as follows and make any other any other conforming changes to the budget, the area-wide fund non-departmental transfer to education 445220 by decreasing the appropriation by the amount of $1,500,637. The education operating fund non-departmental area-wide 367110 by decreasing the appropriation by the amount of $1,500,637. This amendment will reduce the local education contribution amount from 4% increase to 2% increase over the current fiscal year. This amendment will reduce the area-wide mill rate by .101 in its amendment number 12.
Okay. Discussion, yes.
Okay.
Assemblyperson Palmoff, did you?
So you should have all this, and I highlighted them specifically just for the reference of it. So when I talk, we're on the same page. As you could see, in under number one, you could see that in 2026, besides funding the school operating budget, we are funding the deferred maintenance program, something that should have been done from the previous years that have always been funded, but they weren't. They were used not the way maybe we would have spent it, but we never had control of that. So us committing already to a school's building over here in 2026 is at 355. So highlighted on the first page, it says mill point 165. So we are already giving, we are dedicating 2.4 million for, I think it's a boiler replacement, maybe roofs, I don't know, but something more towards the capital thing, which is 0.165. On the pink one, if you look at it, with only 2% increase, that change, as you can see, it's only a 1.5 million. So we're actually still 1 million above when what we give total to a school as a whole. This amendment only decreases from 4% ask to 2% ask. Also, I want you to take a note that over here on the under 3 in the pink, you'll see that says minimum local education. Even with only 2% increase by state statute or the rules, we are obligated to for this year to only fund 49,661,000. We are, even with only 2% increases, we are actually going to 76 million, which is $26 million above what is our minimum required contribution. If you flip the page, you'll see up there where it's not highlighted, it says change in the revenue. Basically, if we actually only contributed a minimum state requirement, our average person who lives in a house that is 388,000 or less, or more, I guess in this case, would see a decrease of $701 in taxes if we just stuck to what is required of us to, but we are contributing a lot more. This change will only decrease about $39 to average tax owner. I'll also want to bring to your attention that on the section 4, we also in the last year's ballot proposition, we have committed to, borough residents have committed to building 3 more schools, which already some of the bonds have been sold 2026 at increase of 0.166 mil. By the time next year we will sell, it will combine the increase of 0.24 in an additional increase to borough residents. So we already are asking a lot from our taxpayers. And the last thing under section 5, I want you guys just to look at the blue highlighted area to see what the commitments we have in debt service starting in 2025, and the list. If we don't add anything else, we are still in debt till 2046. So I hope that kind of gives a overall perspective why this minor decrease of only, instead of giving 4% increase to 2% increase, paints a picture why this is at the very least we should do. I think we should have done more. I think that we've probably gotten support from few people here, but I just wanted to give a full perspective why I'm proposing this decrease, increase to 2% instead of 4%.
Okay, discussion on amendment number 12. Yes, Assemblyperson Hale.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to address some of this analysis first, and then I'll kind of get into the political question of our school funding. But so in this section number 1 right here, these capital projects that we're paying for the schools are paid out of monies that we are saving because of retiring bond debt. So we're retiring bond debt, and instead of letting all this deferred maintenance build up, and then the school district coming to us saying, "Hey, we need a bond to do all this deferred maintenance," we are doing it as we are working through the backlog with money that we last year were spending on bonds, and so. You see in section 5 how our annual debt service is decreasing. Well, as that debt service decreases, we can use the money that we are no longer spending on paying off our bonds to take care of some of these capital projects at the schools, which are our buildings. Those are our buildings. We own those buildings. The school district does not own the buildings. So we can pay for those projects year by year instead of having the school district come to us and say, "Hey, we need a $20 million bond to take care of all this deferred maintenance." And then again in section number 3, we're talking about the minimum local education funding. There is also a maximum local education funding set by state statute, just as there is a minimum. I don't think that dropping to the minimum is really a viable option in any single municipality in the state of Alaska. Now we don't fund to the maximum, which is part of the political question. The political question here is the school board is an elected board for a reason, and they set the budget for the schools. They go through the line item budget and they look at how much they're spending on education and how much they're spending on overhead and how much they're spending on deferred maintenance. And then they come to us and they are accountable to the voters just as we are. And they come to us with a number. Now, if we could say, well, we're going to reduce your number that you're asking for us because we would like you to spend less on, district staff, like the superintendent's salary, or all of the overhead that goes along with the supervisory duties, and we would like you to spend, we would like to increase this much in education, in classroom spending, and decrease this much in overhead spending. I would be all for it, but we don't get to do that. If you want to do that, run for school board. I think when you have this elected board that comes before us, they carefully consider their budget every single year. They come to us with an ask. I think we honor that ask because that's their job. They are elected to do that job. So I'm going to oppose this amendment.
May I respond?
Further discussion? Yes, Assemblyperson Fauna, go ahead.
Ask are good. My question logically to Ms. Hill is, what if they asked for a 10% increase? Would that be, they're elected, they wanted it, does that mean we have to give it to them? That would be the question. So the answer would be, well, maybe that's too much. Where's that fine line? So when it comes to the state side of things, I'm sure they would have asked state, want to have more from state, but what state gives, they kind of make it work with what what they have. I think they asked for this much, we give them halfway there. Besides that, the reference to other things that are school-related issue, we wouldn't have those buildings if it wasn't for school. So I do think it's still going towards the school and towards the education. If only last year we started giving this $2 million, which is over here in 25, we did $2 million. In previous years, it hasn't been done. It was on school board to use all of the money that's given to them to use it wisely so that the roofs are not leaking and the boilers are replaced on time. And they haven't, so I think we're still doing it. We're still giving them combined of that thing. That's my argument for it.
Okay, Assemblyperson Hale, go ahead.
Yeah, so just as an example, there are other places where the school board sets the mill rate for how much property tax is going to be used for the schools. And Alaska is not one of those places. The founders, in their wisdom, said the school board is going to have authority over the budget, and the assembly is going to have authority over appropriating the money to fill that budget. And so to me, yeah, if the elected school board came in front of us and said, we absolutely have to have a 10% increase this year, this is our number, I would support that number because they are an elected board just like us.
For the Assemblyperson McKee?
Yeah, they're an elected board just like us, but when you give somebody money for something, you expect a return on your investment. We're not getting it. Last year, we had a 3% increase ask, I think, and we had 300 fewer kids. What happened to the money, the $680 BSA for those 300 kids that didn't show? And the other thing is, how much money does the school district have in unencumbered funds? Because, as you know, been in the trenches, the money doesn't make it down to the classroom. It just doesn't. And therefore, that's why our scores suck every year. There's a saying, I read the thing about Missouri, and it said, thank God for Missouri. Do you know what that means? Missouri used to always be dead last. They're not anymore. I think they're like number 9 or something like that. We're not getting what we pay for. And so it isn't just enough to say, we're not going to give you the money because it somehow never makes it, we don't get the product that we want. Somebody needs to start saying, what specifically do we need to do? Where can we make these savings? I love what Jason said. He said, basically, whatever you give us, we're going to make it work. I don't hear that from the school district. It's give me, give me, give me, and it never works. What do we have? What is the product that we've turned out? It's abysmal. And I had heard Dr. Trainee say, well, we're doing better than the rest of the state. And I've said several times, I don't want to be the best or the worst. We've got to somewhere put on the brakes and say, show me what you're doing with the money that we give you so that we can be encouraged to do it again. Because if the school district were a company, they'd be out of business. And I know you can't do school and government the same way, but you can get a lot closer than we are when we've got a superintendent, a deputy superintendent, and I don't know how many associate superintendents and a principal and two assistant principal. The money is not being spent in the classroom, and that is what education is the teacher and the kid. I understand administration has to keep it going. But if cuts are made, they should be made where they least affect the kid. And if we're all about the kids, and I surely am, I'm tired of funding, giving taxpayer money where it doesn't work. And I'm not one of those people. I'm not anti-kid, obviously. I spent 26 years, more than that, in the system. But it never works. So what do we got to do differently? If I'm going to put the brakes on, I'm going to squeeze you a little bit and show me the money. Show me the results. I want to see a correlation, and we're not. So if they ask 10% or 2% or 1%, show me what you're going to give me for that. We don't get it. So it's not a matter of politics and prices. It's a matter of the future of our children. They're not getting it. Katie, you do everything you do well. You really do. When she gets up there and says all that stuff, I think, gee, maybe she should be superintendent. Probably somebody's going to slap me for that. But I look at that. And I say, do we really need $500,000 worth of people? Two at the top is probably not quite that much, but we got to start looking at stuff. I'm going to shut up because I'm going to make somebody's going to get after me. For God's sake. No, I mean it. I am so passionate about it because I see us turning out these kids. What do you need to do to change it? I can't say because I'm not a school board member. That's what I originally wanted to run for. Because first thing I do is social promotion, and then I do discipline. You don't want to hear it. I've got a list of 12 things. But you need to keep doing what you're doing. But whoever is that's supposed to be doing it and taking care of it, it ain't happening. Every single stinking year, it's embarrassing. Thank you.
Okay, let's see who.
I didn't have.
You don't have anybody? Okay, all righty, so let's see. Tim, have you spoken to this one? You have. Okay, so Deputy Mayor, and then I'll come to you.
I'm going to support Dimitri's amendment.
Okay.
And I'd like to make an amendment after This one passes.
Okay. Already, Assemblyperson Hale, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. In defense of our school district, our kids are not doing abysmal. Our kids regularly place within the national median, the national average. I mean, maybe we could be a little better, but we do place in the national average, and I absolutely 100% sympathize with the money not getting to the classroom. I absolutely sympathize with that, but we don't get to make that decision. And any cut that we make here, do you think that cut is going to be felt by the administration, or do you think that cut is going to be felt by the educators? Because I can tell you right now, it's not going to be felt by the administration. And if you want it to be felt by the administration, then you need to run for school board where you can make those line item choices in their budget and say, you must reduce your administrative overhead. You must spend more on in-class education. The school board is where you get to make those calls. Unfortunately, we don't get to make those calls.
Okay,
May I
Assemblyperson
respond to
Gamble.
that?
Can I recognize Assemblyperson Gamble because he hasn't spoken yet?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, when Assemblymember Fauna first brought this to me, you know, at first glance, it looked pretty good, and I started thinking about it. And I just want to say that Dr. Trainey and Deputy Superintendent Gardner came here and gave us almost a 2-hour presentation on how well the public schools in the Mat-Su Borough are doing as compared to the rest of the state and to the nation, and especially our charter schools. I mean, they're like top in the nation right now. So we are doing well here. And I just want to echo what Assemblymember Hale just said. When we start cutting the school budget here at the dais, at the last minute, I might add, it's probably going to be in the classroom where it's felt the most. And we just put together a committee of school board members and assembly members to get together in the fall and talk about these issues. So I'm reluctant at this time to vote for this, especially at the last minute. The school district has a lot of uncertainty right now with what's going on with the state budget, and I just don't think we need to be piling on by giving them more uncertainty here at the assembly. Thank you.
Okay, Assemblyperson McKee?
As far as what Tim was saying, basically, if you cut the money, it's not going to come off the top. You used the expression last year, the cream rising to the top. Well, less cream rises to the top, then less money that the people in the classroom actually get, because it's not going to come from administration. So I don't know whoever set it up, that we couldn't tell them kind of how to spend the money, because that really sticks in my craw. And it pains me, having spent so much of my life in this thing where every year we just do the same blasted thing and it never changes. How can we do this to our kids? Maybe at this point I'm just making noise, and God bless the governor, because he said, no, we're not doing that. And HB 57 said, well, we're only going to give you 700. Grits my teeth, but I'd say, you know what, kid, show me what you got, and then I'll give you more. Y'all know how I feel. So that's just, my heart hurts for our students.
Assemblyperson Nowers, did you want to say something?
So I really appreciate having Miss McKee on here, because you've been in the trenches, and I don't know how you did it for all those years, because I helped in the classroom, and I thought, never. I could do it for 5 kids at once, with 25, 30. I think we're not locked in the same thing. If we want the funding to change at the school district, we all have the ability to go to those meetings and lobby for it and educate people on where we think the money shouldn't be spent. We are not locked into not having a say. We're still all residents of the valley. So I think we can affect where their spending priorities are in that respect. I do agree with Tim that up here we're just funding the overall school budget. So a couple things. I want to back up and again say we are average across the country. We get roped in with the rest of the state, and it's really a disservice to the teachers and the students to tell them that they're doing poorly when they're working really hard and they're about average. Yeah, can we improve? But it's like a football team having a 10-10 season and tell them you guys were the worst. Like, it's not fair to those people who are doing such a good job. And my kids went through the school and had an amazing teachers out here. Yeah, we really do. We really do. So I want them to know that because they get beat down by being told they're terrible. So
Can I stop you right there?
Okay.
The teachers are incredible. Look at a parking lot on a weekend. Look at the satchels that they take. I was one of them. So it's not the teachers, it's not the kids, but somehow or another, we ain't delivering the product to the kids so they can get to where they need to be. But absolutely, our teachers are bright and shining stars.
Yeah.
They're exhausted, but they keep doing it.
Yeah, they are. And then to the budget, the political question, what I look at is what's a reasonable, sustainable increase? 4%, that's within reason. You know, if they came with 10%, I would question that. That's hard to absorb. The facts are we are 1/3 of the school district's budget. 2/3 comes from the state. So it's 2/3 of our budget goes to the schools, but it's only 1/3 of the school district's budget. We can't affect it that much. And the school district is losing money from the state because our assessed valuation went up. So they're losing almost $2 million in state funding. So they're already in the hole going into the new year. If we cut this, we're not even making up that $2 million. And I just want to say, in terms of their ability to look at fiscal sustainability, and this is the last thing, they're going to need to absorb a 23% increase in healthcare. The MEA rates have gone up 6% in the last 2 years. Like nothing is cheaper. So how can you ask a school district to continue to function without taking into account inflation? So I just look at, bottom line for me is a 4% increase, I think is really reasonable. It sets us on a good tone with the school district, avoids some of the battles in the past with them jacking up their asks so that we'll cut it. You know, it's a better process that way. So I think this is a reasonable ask from the school district and a needed ask, and I will not be supporting the amendment.
Okay, Assemblyperson Sumner.
Yeah, we received this amendment before the meeting, and I knew it was going to be a contentious issue. I didn't know how to think about it. I decided to enter it with no preconceived notions and listen to every other assembly member. And I gotta say, Mr. Hale, I think your arguments are the ones that I agree with the most. I think that you're absolutely right that the assembly probably should not be dipping below the line and trying to control the way that the school district spends the money. There are other elected officials that do that. So I agree with you.
Assemblyperson Gamble.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say HB 57, kudos to the governor because he's holding the line and he's only going to give them one-time funding if everything holds the way it is. And he's not going to give them any more until there is more accountability. And I want to go back to what Assemblymember Nauer said, because that is so true that the Mat-Su is being put in the same bucket with the rest of the state of Alaska, and it's dragging down the accomplishments of what the Mat-Su Borough School District is accomplishing. Thank you.
Assemblyperson Hale.
Yeah, I'll be very brief in this. I promise I'll be done. We just came through a period of historical inflationary period, and even just this last year, our homes all went up in value by 8%, and the school district is asking for half of that, and a 4% increase instead of something like an 8% increase, or something even worse, with all of the inflation that we've been having over the last 3 or 4 years. And I ran a few numbers, and for your average your average house or whatever, the $388,000 house, this cut equates to a $40 cut in your tax bill. I mean, $40 on $388,000, and it's really critical for the school district, and it's really not critical for me to save $40.
Assemblyperson McKee, did you have? No, okay. Assemblyperson Font.
Well, 40, 80, I mean, that number, I mean, ask her. I want to say the school board in the past, when I had a meeting, they don't actually write the budget, they vote. Until like last year, I think, or maybe this year, they never actually even proposed amendments. They just adopted it. And do you think administration will be writing a budget with decrease to themselves but increase to the teacher? Those who write usually trying to look out for themselves first. That's just the reality. And when somebody said, oh, the students are going to feel it the most. 4% increase when you have a $400,000 salary is $16,000. That's a significant change. When you have, a $50,000 salary, that's only $2,000. So no, the person that will feel this increase or decrease the most is the one that has the biggest salary. So on top of that, they say, oh, this will not really affect the school board. I think Ms. Nauer said that. Somebody says it really will affect them, and somebody says to them it's just such a small thing compared to what their overall is. Then I still say live within the means. We are giving from the minimum is over $26 million more than what is the required. We're still giving them increase. We are committed already to point with the increase for number one over there, 0.024, and we're going to have 0.24 in the bonds next year. So we are investing a lot into the schools and the children, and I still think this is a reasonable request. What I'm trying to ask.
Further discussion on amendment number 12. I hear there's probably objection. So, Madam Clerk.
The members in the room can vote on amendment number 12, please. Madam Mayor, it has failed with Assemblymember Fonoff, Bernier, and McKee in support.
Alrighty, so that, I believe, is all the prepared amendments that we have.
I have an amendment.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
I'd like to cut the school budget by 4%.
Cut the school budget by 4%?
Yep.
Okay. Do we need figures, or we should have, okay, Assemblyperson,
That'll basically take the taxpayer to where they're not paying any extra tax this year, as paying the same tax they did last year.
okay.
So
Assemblyperson
that
Sumner?
you can actually tell your constituents you didn't raise taxes.
Okay. Assemblyperson Sumner, can we get Cheyenne, or do you want?
I just had a question on your intention. Is that remove the 4% increase, so
Correct.
it's the same as last year, or decrease
Yep.
the budget by 4%? Because I think that would be slightly different numbers.
That's Cheyenne knows what I'm
To take it back to last year's contribution to the school district, that makes the number 75,000, or $75,031,853.
Say that one more time for me, 6.
$75,031,853.
31,000. 310,000? Not 31.
$75,031,000, so 031, 75031.
Oh, got it. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Oh, Lord, I'm sorry, Cheyenne.
Okay, and what is that reduction then in our mill levy?
To the mayor, that would be a reduction, I do a reduction of 0.184.
Okay. And where are we now with the mill levy without this motion? Maybe all the rest of you have been keeping better score than I have. So I don't know. Maybe some of the rest of you already know that figure, but I don't. So I'm going to show my ignorance here.
Do you have 8.512?
Yes.
Which Average increase to the taxpayer over the current year is $73
Okay,
before the amendment.
okay.
Or which, the one we just voted or the one that's just coming up?
I'm sorry, Assembly
I
Person.
didn't have my mic on. So, Mike, would you just say what you said again? Because was it, you said before the amendment or something like that?
Where we stand right now, before this amendment gets voted on, because it hasn't been voted on, is an area-wide mill rate of 8.512. And I'm getting these numbers from Cheyenne, just for the record, I'm not that smart. And it's an average increase in area-wide taxes of $73 over the current fiscal year.
Okay. Anybody else? I see both your Deputy Mayor? No. Okay. All right, Assemblyperson Sumner, thank you for being patient for us to get some figures.
Yeah, what would be the average decrease per student?
You'll be surprised with how low it is. The number is going to be.
And just for the record, this is amendment number 13.
Thank you.
Through the mayor to Assemblymember Sumner, that would be a decrease of $142 per student.
Okay, any further Assemblyperson Hale?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So we just voted down a substantially smaller increase, about half as much of a decrease, and my arguments remain the same. Thank you.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
How many days is school?
Should be 183, that is what it's been.
And this is, decrease of 140?
$142 per student.
So like less than $1 a day.
Okay, further discussion on amendment number 13. Is there objection? Okay, we do have objections, so Madam Clerk.
Members can go ahead and vote. Madam Mayor, it has failed with Assemblymember Fauna, Bernier, and McKee in support.
Okay. Any further Assemblyperson Hale, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, maybe by a show of hands, is there anybody that wants to offer another amendment on Thursday, or should I call the question now?
Is everybody ready to wrap it up here in the next 5 minutes? Assemblyperson Fauna.
We're not on amendment, you called the question, right?
I would move to call the question.
Okay, so now this,
Where are we? We're at 4%, right? I mean, that's what we voted. We're okay with 4%. I'm not, but a lot of folks. Where are we on this?
we've finished all the amendments.
No. I have a question and a potential amendment I'd like to ask.
But the question was called, so I think we have to vote on the question first.
Oh.
The question, did you withdraw? No?
He did.
Okay. I thought he said no. Did you withdraw or the question or no?
I will withdraw if there's no objection.
Okay, is there any objection to removing the question? Okay, alrighty, so Assemblyperson McKee, you have a question.
So right now, if it stands, if we did nothing, the school district would get their 4%, is that correct? Okay, so I'm gonna come down, let me make an amendment. We obviously couldn't get 2 and we couldn't get nothing. Let's go for 3. I'm just a gambler. But I'm just saying somehow or another, I want to make an impression. I want people to see that, You ask me, I'll give. Like Tim said, you want 10%, I'll give you 10%. Hey, baby, I don't know, you got kids, but that's not how that works. But I would amend it to have a 3% then. It means something.
I'm sorry, Dee, I don't understand what you're saying. What? You're not ready to pass the budget? You want to do an amendment?
Yeah.
Then? Okay, what's your amendment?
That instead of a 4% increase, reduce it to 3%. So we tried 2, we
Well-
tried 0, that didn't work. How
Right,
about 3?
and then, well, okay, I mean, you can make whatever amendment you want. So this is amendment number 14.
Oh, so what you're saying is a reduction by $750,318.50? Yes. Okay, let's do that. We got to start somewhere. We got to make a statement somewhere.
I'm sorry, Assemblyperson McKee, we're not getting it down here. So,
Okay, school district asked for 4%, right? No, initially.
what they asked for. I think what Assemblymember McKee is trying to say is instead of the 4% increase to the school budget that's in our proposed budget,
Yeah.
she wants to reduce that number so that it equals a 3%
Yeah,
increase.
yeah.
okay,
It's that-
all
that's
right.
what
Okay, so amendment number 14 is to reduce the increase from 4 to 3%.
I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Assemblyperson Sumner.
Yeah, Assemblymember McKee, my question for you is, what's the goal? So if we do this decrease in a perfect world, what do you see accomplishing by reducing this amount?
Okay, every
for the
year.
school district?
Oh, sorry. Every year we get in, George was in here for 6 years, I've been in here for 4. Every year lockstep, you want it, you got it, there it is. Nobody ever, and it never changes anything. Nothing improves. Somehow or another, last year I voted against the budget in total because I said, I got to get somebody's attention to make these changes that have to be made. And we don't do that. We just keep saying, you want it, you got it. So even if it is just nothing more than a protest vote that says, wait a minute, please, school district, stop and look at what you're doing and where it's going and the results, which aren't good. So if nothing other than an attention getter, maybe we get somebody's attention. Look what's happening in the legislature this year. They're actually standing up on their hind legs and saying, no, I don't think so. We're not going to give that much money. So all I'm saying is, can we at least look in another direction and say, well, gee whiz, they took 1% away from us. Maybe we ought to look pretty hard at what we got, at what we do with the remaining 3%. That's where I am. And there's nothing political about this. Nothing. I don't run for election again, so it doesn't make any difference to me whether people vote for me or not. Point is, I was there. Please listen to somebody who was there.
Okay, Assemblyperson Fanoff, you're the one I have next, and then.
Yes. I want to know if maybe Katie can say how much of increase to actual the salary of administration is in the school budget proposed. I want to know what they're asking for the administration to increase. And just for reference purposes, are we able to do that?
Be able to, how deep can we, maybe the attorney can tell me, how deep can we indulge into the school budget?
No, not in school. Just to ask what the increase they propose in their budget for their administration. Is that
Right, well, you're digging into the school budget. That's what I'm finding out from the attorney, what latitude we have here.
So
Okay.
you can ask all the questions you want about the component items of their budget. What you cannot do is give them anything other than a total sum. You can probe and ask and say, how are you paying this? How are you paying that? What are you allocating to this? That you can do. What you cannot do is say, well, you need to change this and you need to change that, because you give them a total sum of money, whatever number you settle on, that's it. But in terms of asking to figure out what that total sum is, there's no restrictions in state law.
Okay. So, Deputy Mayor.
Okay. I know if I was going to somebody, hey, I've got a budget and I want an increase and I need an increase, say 2%, I'm going to ask for 4%. Right? Nobody in his right mind wouldn't. You don't have to come forward with a business plan or anything like that. It's just okay, last time we came and asked for 5% and it got taken down some. So, well, this time we'll take and ask for a little bit more. And if when the assembly votes some down, we still get our money. And then the assembly can say, well, yeah, we cut the budget a little bit. That's how it works, folks.
Okay, let's see. Let me see who I have. I have assembly person hours, and then you, assembly person Hale.
Yeah, I do think things have changed. I think the school district used to come with a big ask because they were doing it as a negotiation. Like, okay, we're going to ask for 8 because we know the assembly's going to want to do it back. And I think that has changed. Like, I know they had an amendment on the floor to, hey, let's ask for 5. And they said, no, let's ask for what we need. So I think things have changed. And I think all the arguments have been there that we've made, that this will not, this will be felt by the kids, and it's 4% is a reasonable amount. 3 million more for the school district when they're losing 2 million from the state because of the formula is not a big ask.
Okay, assembly person Hale.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So in years past, they did do that. They built a bunch of extra into their budget, and then they would come, and this was when I first got on the assembly, they would come here, and this room would be full of people in their red shirts, and we would sit here for 2 hours at each budget deliberation meeting during public comment while every single person in a red shirt came up and said, don't cut the budget. Nowadays, they only ask for what they want and what they need. And we have a conservative school board who makes all of these decisions very carefully and with all the knowledge available to them. And I think we trust them. I'm leaving anyway, so I won't have to sit through 5-hour meetings at budget deliberation with 400 people in red shirts coming up and saying don't cut our budget. But you guys might have to if you go down this road and make that relationship adversarial instead of cooperative. And so I would just, like I said, I'm leaving. I would highly recommend against it.
Okay, so I understand there must be objection to amendment number 14. So, Madam Clerk, I think then we're ready to vote.
Get the members in the room to vote on amendment number 14. Oh. Or you want me to redo it? Okay, everybody vote again, please. Everybody vote on amendment number 14 again, please. Madam Mayor, it failed with Assembly Member Fauna, Bernier, and McKee in support.
Okay. Okay. So,
Assembly Member.
I'd like to make an amendment. I would like to reduce the proposed school budget by $1. If I could speak to it, Ms. McKee, you wanted to send a message. This is your message.
That's like leaving a 1 penny tip, right?
Okay. What do you say?
Dang, that's kind of interesting.
$1.
Okay.
You know what? That's kind of interesting. That really would get somebody's attention. Maybe they'll read the whole story if they read the first part.
This is amendment number 15.
Yes.
Discussion on the amendment.
I appreciate the creativity. I just don't know what message we sent. Like to the school board, you're not doing a good job. I won't support it, but I appreciate the creativity.
So was it to cut or add $1? Cut $1. Okay. All righty, further discussion on the motion to cut $1 from the school budget. That's amendment number 15. Discussion?
Yes.
Assembly person.
Just
Fauna.
I guess I'm still completely not understanding when it comes to the state. They project on state based on certain amount that the school will get, but we they ask us specifically a certain amount, they can rely on that. So I want to understand, maybe manager or somebody in staff can explain, so how, when we increase or decrease, and this is a amendment related, because we are decreasing the budget by a whole dollar. So do they get the luxury when it comes to the state of what they want and what they get, or only they do that with a borough, which is over 70% of the borough's actual whole budget? So can we call a staff or somebody? How does that portion work when it comes to state doesn't give them what they want, or they do get what they want?
Go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Through the mayor, to Mr. Fonoff and the rest of the assembly. State formula funding is a formula, period. It's formula. There's no negotiation. Frankly, not that many years ago, the local education contribution was a formula. It was set in code to be, at least propose a budget at 6.3 mils. And we let that you all let that sunset. And now, so we can have these conversations, and it's not the manager putting a budget together, because if you can imagine, right now we're at about 8.5 roughly on the area-wide mill rate. Back in the day, 6.3 of that would be proposed in the budget to go into education. And so it created, in my opinion, unrealistic expectations. The assembly let that sunset. And so now that's why we're having this discussion in the appropriation, is that it is not a predetermined formula. But state funding is.
Question to attorney.
Assemblyperson Fana.
Why is Delta Junctions, they have zero sales tax and zero property tax and their schools are funded, and we don't have that privilege?
That's a much larger question than what we're going to settle here tonight. So just read the state constitution, okay? Assemblyperson Hale, and then.
I'd like to call the question on Mr. Sumner's amendment, please.
Okay.
Could we
So the
wait just a minute?
motion to call a question, which would mean to end discussion, and that's what we will vote on first. Okay?
Their objection to calling the question.
Is there objection to, yes, I saw a hand down there.
If I can get the members to vote on calling for the question, stopping debate.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, it has failed with Assemblymember Hale, Gamble, Sumner, and Nowers in support.
Okay, we have to have 5.
You have to have 5,
We have
correct?
to have 5. Okay, Assemblyperson McKee, further discussion.
Again, we can't tell anybody how to spend their money. All we do is appropriate it. There's a school, Glacier View, that's got 26 kids. It's got one student graduating this year. Is anything happening with Glacier View? Or are we going to keep subsidizing?
That doesn't pertain, I
Doesn't
don't
it?
think, to amendment number 15, so I'm sorry.
Number 15 with the dollar. Well, I'm just talking about how, well, maybe I can't, but at least I got it said. We got a school with 1 graduate. And we're funding that school.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I'll be
I'm
quiet.
sorry,
If-
Assemblyperson
You-
McKee, that
you got it.
doesn't pertain to the
I see
amendment.
that. I see, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so the amendment on the floor is, and we do have Assemblyperson Sumner.
Oh, I was just going to say there was a newspaper article about that. There are 4 teachers are being cut to 2, and the principal teaches 2. And that's one of the 2 teachers.
Okay, so I think we have objection to amendment number 15, do we? I don't see any hands raised. We don't have any objection to amendment number 15.
Assemblymember Nowers.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so please go ahead and vote.
Madam Mayor, it passed with Assemblymember Nowers opposed.
Okay. Pardon?
I
You
have
an
a
amendment?
question and a possible amendment.
Okay.
I'd like to know where we are sitting for the mill rate currently and fund balance. And if there's your projections for tax revenue that was mentioned earlier, marijuana, alcohol, if any of those are coming in lower than you expected.
Through the mayor to Assembly Member Nowers, the first part of the question, the mill rate currently sits at 8.512. Fund balance is at $404,601.
Okay. All righty, if we're not ready, if we don't have any more amendments? Oh,
She's answering whether any of the projected tax revenue besides property taxes coming in lower than expected.
Of course, we will not have final returns for marijuana, tobacco, until in July. So we've only got 3 quarters reported this time. Marijuana's coming in slightly less than what we had projected at this point. And tobacco is about right on par to where we projected the FY25 budget.
Okay. I would like to propose an amendment to reduce fund balance to a total of $250,000. So that would reduce fund balance by an additional $154,601. And I'd like to do it because I think we do have fund reserves there. It does put us a little closer to the bubble, but I have faith that we'll come in where we think we are, and it puts a little bit of fiscal discipline on the borough assembly that we don't have 500,000 sitting there. We only have 250,000 sitting there.
Can you repeat that number again?
So current fund balance was 404,601. This would reduce it by $154,601 to set fund balance at 250,000. And I didn't do the mill rate calculation, but.
And that is amendment number 16.
I understand the figures, but what does it go to? You're just changing the.
Just to reduce the mill rate by the corresponding amount.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, thank you.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah,
I just
no.
heard the numbers.
It was in my head, I just didn't get it out, so thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
What would it reduce the mill rate to?
Figuring it out.
Oh,
So it would reduce the mill rate to 8.501.
Zero what?
8.501.
and what was it last year? The final mill rate last year?
It was 8.748.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and excuse me, Lindsay's telling me I'm off by a 0.01. So it's 8.5002, not 001.
02, okay. And before we had, at one of the, I don't even know how many, but a few ones back, we had the average price for the taxes going up $73. What will this lower one mean?
It, through the mayor to the assembly, the average taxpayer, single-family residents, taxes would increase $69 with this amendment.
Okay.
Yes,
Alrighty.
that's right.
That's just for 250,000 out of the fund balance that we removed.
Yeah, it previously it was $73, the increase because of all the other amendments.
Okay.
With this amendment, it brings it down to $69.
Okay. I thought you said by $69. Okay.
Okay. Further discussion on amendment, what is this? 16. Okay. I need to get my circle around there so I know which one we're doing. Thank you. Assemblyperson McKee, you have your light on.
Oh,
Did
I'm
you-
sorry. Nope.
No, all right. So is there any objection? I don't see anybody wanting to talk. You have an objection, okay? Alrighty, so then, Madam Clerk?
If I can get the members in the room to vote on number 16, please. Madam Mayor, it passes with Assemblymember Fonoff and Hale opposed.
Okay. Alrighty, are we ready to wrap it up, folks? Assemblyperson Fauna.
I'd like to make an amendment to, was amendment number 2, where we gave $50,000 to the airport and decrease that number.
We can't do that, can we? Don't we have to do it as an item first?
It's not amendment, it's not, it's amendment 17 or whatever the number it is, but it's gonna go back to amending the number that's already been
I know.
previously.
But, yeah. So Assembly Fauna, I think what you want to do is reconsider amendment number 2. Right? Because number 2 passed with 50,000. So that's
So we're
there. So
amending.
now you have to have a reconsideration. Yeah, a reconsideration of that vote. Because that vote is already passed. So now you need to do a reconsideration.
Oh, why can't,
Pardon?
Oh, wait a minute, let me see. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Okay.
If I could, sorry, Mike had pointed it out to me.
Okay.
Assemblymember Fonoff was not on the prevailing side to be able to reconsider it.
Okay. All right.
So he could actually, now if he, that's a problem. Give me a second.
Okay. All right.
Let me go out there.
The number 2 is the Palmer
new
Airport,
amendment.
50,000. It's one we did a week ago. Assemblyperson. Pardon? Well, let's see. Assemblyperson Hale wants to say something, then I will do. Thank you.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Well, he's
the
trying
motion
to
is
make a
to
motion.
decrease from the 50,000 that's committed to that.
Well, yeah, but we're trying to determine if your motion is in order, sir.
Okay. It's,
So that's what Assemblyperson Hale, that's what we're trying to do, to determine if he can make the motion he wants to make. This is what we've determined, is that you can make a brand-new amendment, which would be amendment number 17.
that is what I was trying to do. And
Okay.
I was. Okay.
And so now state your amendment.
Amendment number 17 to amend the amount that was from $50,000 down to $25,000 for the snow removal for the City of Palmer Airport.
Okay, all righty. Discussion on that amendment, number 17. Assemblyperson Nowers.
I would just reiterate some of the things that were mentioned about the Palmer Airport. This was a City of Palmer request. It's a facility that's used by people around the borough. It's an economic driver, and it has medevacs coming into it.
Okay, further discussion on amendment number 17.
I think they should budget and charge more for the lease or whatever it is. It's we shouldn't be subsidizing them. And $25,000 for this year in a row. They'll come back for a third year. You'll see that.
Okay, and I understand there is Deputy Mayor.
Do we subsidize Wasilla or other municipality stuff.
I see her head shaking.
Yes, we've given money to Wasilla, and we
For
also
their-
give money to places like Willow, which I
For
see
their
as
airport?
for, they get a planning grant, and for, they get a couple of different ones to the tune of 200,000 in this year's budget. For planning, just general planning, and for the Greater Wasilla Chamber of Commerce to provide a relocation guide for people who come to the valley. That's been in the budget for several years. So I guess I see this as, the cities get some funding, and and Willow is not incorporated, but I see that the same way. That's a community center that's serving the community. So I don't know if that answers your question.
But that was taken from the fund, non-area wide, right?
Deputy Mayor, what are you saying?
I said that the money that Willow got was from the non-area wide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not the same pot. Yeah. Yeah, Assemblyperson Hale.
Yeah, it's all taxpayer money. Wasilla gets a big chunk of money, Palmer gets a big chunk of money, and Jonesville's getting a big chunk of money, Willow's getting a big chunk of money, Big Lake's getting a big chunk of money. It's all taxpayer money.
And the taxpayers keep calling me up, hey, you're spending too much.
Well, there's 17 amendments on the floor that anybody could say you're spending too much money, so depends on which one you want to choose that you're spending too much money on. You're not going to touch it, huh? Okay, I think we have an objection to the motion, so
The members can go ahead and vote on number 17. Madam Mayor, it is failed with Assemblymember Phaneuf and Bernier in support.
okay. Yes, Assemblyperson, now you're going to do it.
I'd like to call the question on the main motion, please.
Okay, so the question has been called. Is there any objection to the question being called?
We're not on the amendment. We can't call the question. Ask attorney says that.
What?
What? I'm sorry?
What are we
Main
calling
motion.
question on?
Main motion. To adopt the budget.
Yeah. So he's calling for the question, which would stop discussion and any future amendments, and then we would have to vote on the main motion, which is ordinance 25-025.
Along with the area-wide and non-area-wide mill rate.
Okay, so if we want to continue just any amendments or anything in the future, we would not be able to do that if we.
Well, in the future, but for tonight, it would be done with.
Does it adopt tonight? If we
Yes.
Adopts the budget?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not ready to adopt it right away.
Okay, so there is an objection. So for those, and remember, we have to have 5 votes.
Madam Mayor, it has failed with Assemblymember Phaneuf, Bernier, and McKee opposed.
Okay. So any more amendments? Assemblyperson Phaneuf.
I'd like to make a motion to continue to the budget discussion to the next meeting. I think we had one scheduled, right, already previously?
On the 13th.
Yes, that's my motion. So then by that time, we'll have time to process, and if we have any more creative ideas to bring the taxes lower for people, I think I have attempted with a lot of good arguments today. It's unfortunate that it didn't pass, but maybe there are some other areas that we can do to help out our taxpayers because their assessed values have gone tremendously higher.
Okay, so there's a motion to continue then ordinance 25-025. Discussion about that, Assemblyperson Nowers.
I just feel like we've had this budget in front of us for a long time. We've gotten it down to a $69 increase. I certainly don't feel like I have anything else that I would pull out of this budget, kind of given what the future portends. So I'm ready to wrap this up tonight and vote on it.
Assemblyperson Hale?
Yeah, I'm ready to call it on this one. We've considered 17 amendments. I think we've done a pretty good job. The manager gave us a really good budget to begin with. And I'm prepared to sign off on this thing tonight.
Okay, further discussion? We do have objection, so Madam Clerk.
If the members can vote on postponing it until 5:13. Madam Mayor, it has failed with Assembly members, or excuse me, it passed, sorry, with Assembly members Hale, Gamble, and Nowers opposed.
Okay. Alrighty, so we do not have any vetoes for override, so now we're to parting comments. Mr. Attorney, parting comments, sir?
Nice to have a Sumner back up at the table with the $1 amendment. Congratulations.
Assemblyperson McKee, parting comments.
Thank you for allowing me to express my passions about education and also to reaffirm that there's not a teacher in this district that I wouldn't send my kid to. I admire them. I think we're trying, but we just hasn't got where it needs to be yet, but maybe next year.
Deputy Mayor, parting comments?
You know, we're supposed to be a conservative assembly, and it's hard to be called that at this point. I am going to try to lower the burden of taxpayers by rebidding RSA 28 and 27. Hopefully we can save some money there. On the snow removal, I know there's other RSAs out there that are way up there. I would strongly encourage the district assembly member to move those forward as well. I want to thank everybody for their time. Staff, Cheyenne, thank you. You got a lot of work there ahead of you. And thank you, Lord, for bringing us all together tonight. Please bless the valley. Please bless its residents. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your grace, Lord. We ask to do the right thing. Give us leadership. And God bless. In Jesus' name, amen.
Assemblyperson Hale, parting comments?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So, 6 budgets now. We were able to complete one of those in 2 meetings. So I guess I'll see you all on Tuesday.
Okay. Assemblyperson Nowers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I spent some time going through this whole book, and are there things that I think we all have our own priorities. I think we saw that tonight, right? And we try to keep it within budget. I think $70 increase is like a 2% increase in taxes. Could we cut more? Maybe, but one of the things I'm thinking about is they're talking about cutting school bond debt reimbursement by 25%. That'd be a $4 million hit that we have to pick up somewhere in this budget. And it's not looking like, the next year after that might be the same. So there's just some levels of uncertainty that you don't want to be caught short on. You don't want to over budget, but I think this is a really good budget, and I guess we'll see Tuesday what else comes on the table.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
The clerk had suggested that I actually ask for direction to put those out to bid.
To do what?
To put the RSA 27 and 28 out to bid. Ask for direction.
Oh, you.
What he needs to do is, he's directing it. He doesn't have to say, I move.
Okay, so you were asking that 27 and 28 be rebid?
Correct.
Okay.
And
Assembly discussion.
I want to add RSA to that same ask, RSA 25.
Okay. So 25, 27, and 28. Okay,
Can I make a comment?
can we have some reasoning?
Well, you know, the contracts that went out to bid this year were several $1,000s on average cheaper per mile. And there's more people bidding. You know, we really got hammered over the last couple of years on the snow removal. And eventually, I think we should go to an hourly rate. You know, Anchorage, Fairbanks, all Wasilla, they all pay by the hour. You know, graders $125 an hour, and they're actually getting paid for working when you have years of no snowfall, and we're still paying the same as if they got 3 feet, 4 feet. But I think this is a good way to actually get our money. Our taxpayers won't be footing so much of a bill.
Well, I don't know, maybe the attorney can help me or the clerk can, but rebidding it doesn't change the method that we do RSA contracts now. If we wanted to do time and material, we had a report a couple of years ago, and nobody's picked that up. So.
Not yet.
Well, if that's what you want, you
No,
need to
that-
get,
7 and 28 to go out for rebid, for
Right.
bid, instead of carrying it over until next season.
okay. Assemblyperson Hale?
Yeah, a question for the staff, for the manager there. So these are current contracts that are in force for another year. They were awarded in good faith based on the low bidder. Yeah, I think that's an issue that we should have a larger discussion about, perhaps with an agenda item, and should not be taken lightly during comments at the end of a budget meeting. So I oppose that.
Okay,
I was told to bring it up at comments.
okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Through the mayor, I do think there's a time sensitivity to this. If we're actually talking about potentially handing a contract over to a new contractor, it's best not to wait until October to do that. And so this discussion has come up now for a few months now. I think it's important to make a decision. If you want me to go and rebid them, we'll make it happen. My recommendation would be to do that sooner than later and not continue to delay it, because I think we're already really late in getting potentially a new contractor started if that's the way the bids come out. And so I did, when we talked about this the other day, suggest the assembly should take a position so that we can get to work.
Yeah, I mean, to me, we need to find out, when these contracts that we have now, as well as all of that, so, anyway, okay, I guess, we're still on that discussion, okay, Assemblyperson Summer. Okay,
Yeah, I'd definitely like to bifurcate it. I mean, Mr. Farnoff said he wanted to throw 25 in there, but half of 25 is in my district. So, RSA 25. So I'd like to handle them separately. And also, who is the contractor that has RSA 25 right now? So I'd probably recuse myself from that one.
yeah, okay. So, further discussion, Assemblyperson Fauna.
We previously talked, I guess I just want to, so I completely understand and explain why I want to see that move forward, because the previous time last year when it was rebid, prices increased dramatically. Then this year, it seems like the bids were fairly steady and by several $1,000s less. On top of that, the requirement was on the contractor to provide their own salt and gravel, which is another big saving to the borough. I think there's a lot of value if there's opportunity to save taxpayers' money and we do have that ability. And like I said, Mr. Brown said that we have short windows, so the quicker we can do that, the better likely chance we have to give plenty of time for new contractor, if a new contractor or the existing contractor that holds a contractor might give us a better price, so.
Okay, so I have a question for the attorney. Because we're right now in a contract, right, on these 3 road service areas, right? What does it take for us to cancel those contracts?
Well, the contracts were issued as 3-year contracts, subject to appropriation and subject to an agreement for both parties to continue the contract.
Okay,
And the contracts had a provision that if the contractor was not going to want to renew it, that they had to tell us back at the end of January.
okay,
There is no provision in the contract that I'm aware of, and Russ can speak up if I get it wrong, that we have to tell them. However, as mentioned before, administration did not put these contracts back out to bid. So I think it was administration's intent to renew these contracts. And so if the assembly is taking contrary direction, we would have to inform them right away. Like, right away.
okay, go ahead. Okay, go
I
ahead.
just want to be clear through the mayor. We were very clear in communicating that intent months ago. So I don't want you to think that we were just made a decision and kept everyone in the dark about what we were doing. That has been the intent for over a year. And so I'm okay with whatever decision the assembly makes. I don't want you to misread that. It's just I want to be clear that we have been very communicative about what we had intended to do and why.
Assemblyperson Hale?
Yeah, so just so I got it straight in my own mind, the initial term of the contract has taken place, and we are intending to renew that contract. We don't have to renew that contract. So that makes this a whole lot easier for me, because I thought we were breaking a contract just because we didn't like what we were paying.
I don't
But
know, the
I-
attorney is, yeah. Listen to your attorney.
The contract is for 3 years, subject to appropriation, and provided neither party tells the other, I don't want to do it. If everyone stays silent,
And
the
the original
contract
3 years has passed.
keeps going. No, the budget hasn't passed yet.
That's it.
The 2 contracts, since we'll deal with these separately, for 27 and 28 were bid out last year. We're completing the first year of service.
Okay, so that's that. If I may continue, Madam Mayor.
Sure.
So that's the problem I have. That's the part I have a problem with. So we put these out to bid. The contractors bid on them. We awarded based on a low bid contractor. We negotiated whatever other negotiations might have taken place after the contract after the bid opening, and we awarded these contracts in good faith. I think it sets a really bad precedent for the borough to go around breaking 3-year contracts after the initial first year, just because some other contracts the next year came in at a lower price. I think that's going to cause bad faith on the part of our contractors, and I think it's going to cause people. It's going to dissuade contractors from bidding on our contracts, because the assembly could just break the contract if next year's prices look better. I do not agree with that's no way to do business.
Deputy Mayor?
Well, the borough actually does a 3-year contract that's renewable every year. So the contractor can say, no, I don't want to do it this year, or the borough can say, no, I don't want to do it this year.
No, I don't know that the borough could. I didn't hear the attorney say that the borough could say they can. Okay. But
So it's
was
not
there a time
overlocked
frame?
in the-
Is there a time frame? I mean, we can't wait till the first snowfall and then, because this is already May, and I don't know how long it takes it's gonna have to come back to the assembly, get on the agenda, be voted on, and then go out to bid. Maybe Mike can tell me, 30, 60 days to take in for the bid process, right? I mean, how long do when we put out something new out to bid, how long do we do it on an RSA?
My guess is to get an A through the mayor. My guess is to get this on an agenda, it's probably the July 15th meeting at the earliest. Yeah, come on up if you think we can get there earlier. Don't overpromise.
Go ahead, sir, turn the mic on.
To the mayor and the assembly, very aggressive. We can get a contract in place prior to July 1, but that would require a decision tonight, and it would also require Public Works being able to get the updated documents to me within about a week so that we can advertise. It would be extremely tight, and it would also put us in a situation where if there's any hiccup at all during the bid process, because we would have to do it the minimum 2-week bid, any hiccup during that process would push us into July. So,
Right. Well, I mean, we don't have any public notice or anything. This hasn't been on the agenda, so in the agenda unless it can get it on the 20th, like Mike said, it's going to be. And has this been run by the RSA board in those areas?
Yes.
And do we have a
Actually,
resolution or something from them?
We didn't do a resolution. We spoke about it. I attended the RSA meeting there in 27 with the
And
new
did they
board.
make a motion?
Well, like I was telling Steve there, all our bids are coming back several $1,000s cheaper.
Right?
Okay,
But did the
I've been-
RSA board take a position, yes or no?
They didn't vote on anything.
Okay.
We just discussed it.
Madam
and
Mayor?
said,
We did have one resolution from RSA 21, which is not discussion part of this subject, but we did have RSA resolution that asked to rebid, and I don't know if we just should ignore it.
RSA 21 is not part of this discussion, sir? So, okay, so we don't have anything definite then from RSA. They were informed, you were thinking about doing this, or you wanted to do this, but they haven't taken a position. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Tuesday night, we sat here for almost an hour talking about this. As far as if we're going to do something, we need to take and bring it forward tonight and get the ball rolling.
Well, as
And,
far as I'm concerned, we haven't done any public.
The meeting that we
For-
had at the fire station back in March? And I was up there saying, hey, I think every single RSA contract in my district should be renewed or rebid. And I've said that several different times throughout meetings and stuff.
Throughout an assembly meeting, sir?
Yes.
Okay, well, to me, until it's on the agenda and been publicized, then it's not something we can move forward with. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to weigh in reluctantly through the mayor. And Mr. Bernier, to be fair, I think I clearly communicated to you that because we communicated our intent publicly to the body, that if we were going to change course, the body needed to take an action, that I was not unilaterally going to change course without the assembly first weighing in. So I acknowledge that you did indeed have made those comments for a couple of months now, but this body hasn't done anything in the way of a motion or taking an action to provide that direction. And again, I don't feel like it's fair to the other 6 members for me to communicate our intent to execute something and then just decide all of a sudden because one member said something that I'm going to do something different without informing the other 6 and allowing that discussion to take place so that I get clear direction from all 7 of you.
Okay, Assemblyperson Sumner.
Yeah, I'm ready to give direction to the manager on this matter, if we could all vote. I guess I'm calling the
There has not
question.
been any public notice.
I don't think there needs to be any public notice.
Well, yes, there does. If you are going to take action, you need to take and have it on an agenda.
Can I have the attorney weigh in on this?
Sure.
That's not a clearly settled area of law. However, the mayor is the chairman of the meeting, and the mayor gets to decide whether a motion's in order or not. What you're doing tonight is basically, you're not passing legislation. You're giving administrative direction. You're getting involved in things that I consistently caution assembly members to not do. And that is tell the manager how to, issue a contract to a specific contractor or not. And what you're saying is, because he told you he wasn't rebidding these back in February, March, but now the prices came in, the will of the body may be, well, terminate these two and go out and do that. That's more in the line of administrative direction. And there's no real clear answer to the mayor's comment about whether or not it would need to be advertised. There's arguments to say that it wouldn't need to be, and there's arguments to say that it would need to be.
What kind of liability, so say that passes and Mike or whoever in charge tomorrow, you send a notice to the contractors for 27 and 28. What kind of liability are we putting the borough in?
That is not an answer I would like to give in public, because your contractor may not know what I'm thinking about.
I'm sorry, you're right, whatever. But as
That's
far as
not a
I'm
real good
concerned,
conversation to have in public, Madam Mayor.
I'm not the
Sorry.
attorney,
Yeah.
but as far as I'm concerned, we're opening up the borough to a lot of liability.
Are we able to enter into executive session?
Pardon?
Are we able to get in the executive session?
We do
of
not
that?
have an executive session noticed. Even if this was a subject you could do. No. Okay, assembly person, either Hale or Nowers, whichever.
There's just a time and a place for these kind of things, and the bidding thing is, breaking contracts, kind of breaking faith is not a good thing, but, there's times to do it, but it seems like the time to fix this contract this year is already passed without maybe some liability, without just kind of flipping the switch on a contractor after we've gone forward through a process. So I know the good thing about these contracts, they're 3 years, but they're 1 year contracts per renewal. So, I would just say that if you don't like this, get on it for next year when this 1 year comes up and get it fixed next year. But I feel like the bird has flown the coop on this one, or whatever analogy you want to put on it, and it's better to go forward than get ourselves into a pit that we do not want to be in.
Assemblyperson Hale.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. So from what the attorney said, it sounded like what I gleaned from it was that as chair, it's your choice whether a motion is in order or not. And I was curious, is there a motion on the floor?
I guess because there was a statement made to give direction. I don't think there was a I move. And I don't know if that's if that's splitting the hairs or not.
I do believe it's splitting, because I think it's a motion.
It is a motion. Okay.
The reason I ask is if there's a motion on the floor, I would like to call the question.
Okay.
Unless you.
I don't want to accept this motion because I don't think we're playing fair with the people that we have contracts with. So that's, if you were the contractor and you hadn't been noticed and you're proceeding to get ready for the fall, I don't think we would be very happy with them. So that, Assemblyperson McKee.
I have to tell you, because that's kind of what Tim was saying in the beginning, and then you said it, and I agree, because if that's the way we let this go, they in good faith made a contract, it's kind of a crapshoot. Then if the stock market rises and you bought in high, you lose. If you bought in low, you gain. That's nothing that we can, and there's no way we could control that, inflation and such. So, or how the other bidders are going to bid. So I just don't know that you can make a contract, except that Nick said something about the contractor or the borough could cancel the contract or something like that. Did you say that?
So again, these are multi-year contracts. And what the contracts, because if you talk to Russ, and you talk to administration, and you talk to Public Works, they want to put these out for bid to renew so that a new contractor shows up or the old contractor gets their new bid, whichever. They usually turn over hands on July 1 to coincide with the fiscal year. So the contract says by the end of January, I believe, I'm looking to Russ here, by the end of January, if the contractor is going to say, I'm not going to go for my second year, they have to tell us by the end of January so that we can go out and rebid them. The contracts don't have a time period for us to tell them if we were going to terminate the contract.
And that's what I was referring to. It sounds a little iffy there, but yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, I really think I'd love to save the money, but I'm not sure that we can honestly do that.
We do not have any assurance that the bid, if we would go out to bid, that they would be any lower than what we currently have. Right? I mean, there's no guarantees when you go out on the market.
Right.
So, but anyway, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know, in the past years and stuff, you know, this year we got bids going, what, February, March, I believe? And a lot of times it's April, May before they go out to bid. So it's really not, if this did happen, it isn't like we haven't done this before, basically.
Okay.
I just want to add
Assembly
that.
front.
Yeah, I just want to, we still have almost more than half of May and the whole June. And even if there was a delay, there is no snow in July or August for that matter. So I see that there is plenty of time, even if there was service interrupted for a few weeks.
Well, we only have one meeting in July. So that's on the 15th. Assemblyperson Gamble.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, in these contracts, there's built in for public construction. So if these contracts are rebid and the old contract terminates on June 30th, you may lose time for public construction projects that are built into the contracts now. So that's work that won't get done that should have been done in the summer.
Okay. Pardon? Go ahead.
Do we need a vote?
Well, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna rule it out of order because I do not feel that the public has had an opportunity. And as far as I know, we do not have anything from the RSA boards who are supposed to give us recommendations. But you are, in my opinion, unless the attorney and the clerk say no, you perfectly have the right to take and meet with the administration and ask them to bring forth something, or you bring forth something for a future agenda where the public can be and where we can get the input from the RSAs. I don't have a problem with it. I think that's transparency, and that's where I'm at. Okay? Alrighty, so let's see. I think we're parting comments. We got you two parting comments, sir.
I don't really want to give parting comments, Madam Mayor. But I will say, just to be clear, we can still get a resolution on the May 20th agenda. And the contract does not have to start July 1st, just to be clear. Like, I don't want you to feel like you're getting painted into a corner. We have time, if I get that resolution tomorrow, to get that to the clerk's office and make the 5:20 meeting so that it is noticed and the assembly, you can do what you want to do with that. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Madam Clerk. Yep. Okay. Assemblyperson Sumner, parting comment.
I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Assemblyperson Gamble.
No comments.
Okay. Assemblyperson Fauna.
My only comment is ask the clerk to prepare that resolution or a mic in time so that we will have chance to get it on the May.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. What'd you say?
I said my only comment is ask clerk or Mike to prepare that resolution so we would have that discussion on the May 20th, I think you said, meeting. And then at that time we can go into more details and then public will have notice.
So you're at.
Yes,
He's asking, he requested that me and Mike prepare the resolution.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it makes the 520 agenda.
and add, my ask is to add all.
25.
All the ones that affect my area.
All the ones that affect your area?
Which number did I give? I think I told you the
You told me RSA 25.
25, correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, alrighty. So we will see you all on the 13th. It is 9:05.